Might have to change that open if the rumors are true.
No, man, they're not. They're not.
I can't believe, listen, this is Football Fridays. I'm Will Althoff. That's Luis Diaz. I can't believe the number one player in the NFL is voted by his peers before the season, Tyreek Hill of the Miami Dolphins. Now there are odds as to which team he will land with come the trade deadline.
Yeah, but I thought they were saying, like, oh, we have no plans to. Well, I mean, who are we to believe
Right,
the Dolphins?
exactly.
I guess. Nah, you're right. Nah, the fact that they said we have no plans to trade him, he's gone. He's as good as gone.
Nick Saban's not going anywhere.
No, yeah,
No,
he's not taking the Alabama job. You're crazy. They're not worried about the offensive line. What are we talking about here?
It's like, where do you want to start? Do you want to start Monday night? Do you want to start with this upcoming game? Do you want to start with this Tyreek, Jalen Phillips? Like, which part of the doom and gloom should we start with?
So let's look for all the good news.
Okay.
First, let's say all the good news. Now that we're done with that, let's go to the bad news.
Snoop got a touchdown. I had that in my parlay.
Dude.
The rest of the legs didn't work out, but at least Tyler got his touchdown.
I went 0 for 8 again.
0 for 8?
I don't know why I keep giving Hard Rock my money on these octopi.
Because it's so fun.
It is fun, but I get mad.
When we get to the gambling without
gambling
Kevin wins,
Yeah.
I will mention my octopi from last night that got destroyed already. So
No,
Yeah,
I
man.
didn't go back and forth. I was at a show last night, so I wasn't able to compare like I usually do.
Like you mentioned, just giving the Hard Rock the money. I took the rest of the parlay. I added that and found 2 more legs. So I re-upped my
I still
octopus.
believe in it.
Yes, I'm still there. The rest of this stuff, that's going to hit. It was just last night.
I love that it starts off wrong, and I would react to that as, yeah, that means none of this is going to hit. But you're like, no, I'm smart about the rest of
See,
this.
I got the bad leg out of the way.
Yeah.
I had Bijan touchdown, and I had Falcons win. Falcons won. Bijan didn't get the touchdown.
Oh, man.
The rest of it's going to work out.
Damn, but you got one of them right. That stinks.
Yeah.
I hate that.
And that's why usually I don't do it on Thursday night because I don't want to I don't want to just see it fumble away on a Thursday night.
can't.
At least on a Sunday, you've got games going on, so multiple legs are happening. But
Yeah, but you did the for sure thing. Like last week with the Thursday night game, bet CeeDee Lamb anytime touchdown, you know it's going to happen.
Right.
You bet the for sure one of the Bijan touchdown.
I thought.
Didn't happen.
Not even close. Instead, Kirk Cousins, 500 passing yards.
It's, yeah, man. Kirk Cousins getting. How can they do it? How can they do it? And we can't do it, but they can do it.
Here's the thing: is the discussion about Kirk Cousins not being a great quarterback, is that over yet?
Great. Well, you just used the word
okay,
great.
so maybe not great, but like he's always been so undervalued.
100%.
And he has put up great numbers in his career.
He's the guy that when people use the term game manager as the
Yeah.
disrespectful term, he's the kind of guy that I'm like, nah, not all game managers are bad. Because a game manager, yeah, they have their bad game, but like for the most part, they have regular games, and then they have ones like yesterday, which was unreal. Unreal. I'm listening to it on the way home.
Yeah.
I hear he throws the touchdown, and I'm like, man, Justin Herbert subbed in? That's crazy. And and the game's over, right? No, he's able to get the ball back. The defense gets the ball back, and he's like makes up for it. This guy's, yeah, man, I like Kirk Cousins. If he wants to come down to Miami, there's no state income tax down here.
And look,
it's so cool.
So, like, I think it was the week 2 game against the Eagles where they came back and won on Monday night in Philly. That really, like, I was like, oh, man, Kirk's back. Like, that was a really good win for them, especially, those last 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. Last couple of games, he's played okay. But then last night, 42 of 58, 509 yards passing, 4 touchdowns and an interception. Like, you want to see, like, those are fantastic numbers. Those numbers, that's what Jacoby Brissett's numbers are for the entire season.
That's so
like he doesn't even have as many passing touchdowns, but that's how many passing yards he has. So like for people to say, Kirk Cousins, he's all right. The guy does it when he needs to do it.
Yeah, and he does it consistently. What I liked about the game yesterday was 2 quarterbacks that have a chip on their shoulder, have something to prove because their old
Totally
teams
agree.
let go of them.
Yes.
And Baker Mayfield, $180 at 3 tuds. It wasn't. It fails in comparison, but still, man, that's a solid game. He's having a great season. I like him in his situation more because he can brag a little bit more. Whereas Kirk Cousins can't look at Minnesota and be like, you're screwed without me.
How are you doing? Well, we're undefeated.
They're doing really well. But I just love that both quarterbacks rejected by their old teams. Baker Mayfield took a little bit longer path to find the next one that he would stick with. But, yeah, man, yesterday is the thing of, like, and you look at the Seahawks with Geno. You look at Vikings, Sam Darnold. These great quarterback performances, they don't have to be great quarterbacks, but they can be consistently really good quarterback performances, can come from anywhere, but they don't come to Miami, Florida. That's it.
Bro, Andy Dalton.
Who?
Exactly.
Who?
They were like, oh, well, Bryce Young, we're going to bench him. Andy Dalton's going to come out and throw 3 touchdowns for this team that's awful.
Hey, we're going to worry about starting – we're going to start the rookie quarterback, Sam Darnold. You teach him what you know from behind him in the depth chart.
Yeah.
Oh, he's out, and you're going to play like an MVP?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
What is going on?
Crazy, man.
Geno Smith still balling.
Still balling.
Baker Mayfield is unreal.
He looks fantastic this season.
Tyler Huntley.
He's going to have week 2 this week.
He got a first down on running once.
He got a touchdown.
He did get that running touchdown.
Last night, Kirk Cousins, as I mentioned, 42 of 58, 509, 4 touchdowns and a pick. Jacoby Brissett, who will be facing this weekend, Pat's starting quarterback. 4 games, 536 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. That guy, you don't want to see that guy beat you this weekend.
Yeah, but you didn't want to see Mayo Man beat you either. Dude, I'll be honest, I'm at the point where it's not good, but I'm indifferent now. I'm numb, baby. We're numb.
It was the hype in the offseason, and it was just everybody was so hyped for this team. Yeah. And it just seemed like things were just starting to come together. And it was just like the moment that Tyreek got detained before the first game, that was the beginning of the end.
Yeah, so we can blame that one cop.
That's like I don't know how the butterfly effect ruined everything from that moment on, but
distracted us during the Bills game. Couldn't focus on game planning. Get wrecked, and then Tua trying to be an all-star almost dies. It really does. I think it does stem all the way from there. I don't know. I'm at the point where I'm numb because we're not just losing. We're not just losing by a field goal last-minute heartbreaker. We're getting wrecked by teams. The Bills destroyed us. They own our mothers. The Seahawks killed us, and Will Levis. We've lost. Do you notice we've lost 2 straight games to rookie head coaches, and we're facing a third one now?
Got another one coming, Gerard Mayo on Sunday.
We've lost 2 straight games to rookie, and our offensive genius hasn't combined for 10 points in these last 2 games. Actually, I think he has.
The reminder from Ricardo that the Dolphins have not led for a second
still
this season.
And they got their second field goal on Monday, and I'm like, we're getting a touchdown now. We're gonna at least end that stat. Nope.
Yeah, it's just it's frustrating because because they like the trajectory last year. This time last year, man. Like,
weren't we still undefeated?
Yeah. Dolphins fans, like, you could not bring them down.
We had just put up 70.
70, rolling to 5-0. Best offense in the first 5 games of NFL history. Just, like, rolling over teams. Now this year, they can't buy points.
I'll tell you my problem is I look at teams like and maybe this is just me being a fantasy guy that owns Tyreek Hill in my teams, but I look at teams like the Giants with bums at quarterback. I look at the Jaguars, bums at quarterback. But Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors can still ball. And I'm looking at Tyreek. Tyreek can't get the ball. Right. Can't get the ball.
Right?
Like, I don't understand.
Best player in the NFL. They can't get the guy the ball.
You're an offensive genius, and you decide for this guy's first time ever running your offense, you're throwing motions every play still? That was my problem last year in Kansas City. It's negative 9,000 degrees, negative 9,000, and you're still trying to get fancy. Brother, line up and beat the guy in front of you.
Yeah.
I'm done. You know who I want my what's it called? What's the pitcher catcher? What's that combination called?
The battery.
Battery. So in football, my battery is always the head coach quarterback. my battery next year. I'm praying. I'm lighting candles. I'm telling the astrology. I'm trying whatever anyone believes in. I'm doing it. My sister's got some crystals and moon water. I'm praying to that. I'm manifesting. I'm sacrificing goats, brother. I'm Ben Johnson, Cam Ward. That's it. And I don't care who the GM is as long as it's not the one we got.
Oof. It's so deflating. So deflating. And you go into this game against the Patriots and you're like, you look at the schedule before the season, you're like, that's a dub. Now this week you're like,
And you know, in New England, they're saying, hey, we're not doing well. This is a team we can beat. Everyone in Miami is looking at this as another bad team we're going to lose to. No one in Miami thinks we're getting the win this week. I don't think anyone in the country thinks we're getting the win.
Right now, the Dolphins are +1, so they are not favored in this game.
How are we only plus? We should be +10. I little secret of my Walter Merca Dolphins.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say it right now because
you just said Merca Dolphins.
Merca Dolphins, yeah, because I'm not. My Cuban genes have died right now, and you're just talking to angry Dolphin. This game is going to be decided by 3 scores.
Wow,
you act that surprised in the 5 o'clock hour when we bring it up. But I know it's, and I don't know who's going to win. I just have a feeling it's not going to be us.
Somebody's going to roll.
But just because that's how the Dolphins play, baby. That's how we do.
If you want to get in touch with us, 866-801-0940. You can also hit the little talkback button on the iHeartRadio app if you're listening over there. We want to thank Fox Sports Radio Orlando, as always, for being our affiliate and checking in this Friday. We've got Josh Moser from Channel 7 coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Brandon Kravitz from the Fantasy Fix coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. Coming up next, though, we're going to hear from Tyreek Hill himself. He was seemingly voicing frustration on the sidelines Monday night. He's going to explain that, and we'll hear his reaction to the trade rumors as well coming up here on Football Fridays.
Well, obviously, I think one of our captains said it best, man. Just make a play. Like, whenever it's time to make a play, just make a play within the play. Like, don't go outside the techniques and the fundamentals that, like, you've already been taught. You know what I'm saying? So that's what he means by 95%. It doesn't mean, like, go outside of what you're doing or, like, run the wrong route and then, like, because that throws off a lot of quarterback time, man. It says, no, like, if you run a slant route, catch the slant route and do a little bit extra, get jiggy with it and take it to the house. I mean, you got to give a little bit more effort, like, to get open. You feel me? Like, not just get the catch and just get a first down. How about let's extend that, take it 70 yards or take it 50 yards, and then that's 95% to me. You know what I'm saying?
So, current odds for Tyreek Hill to get traded somewhere. Plus 300 to the Chiefs is
that's the favorite?
One. Yeah, that's the favorite. Ravens, Steelers, Commanders, Jets round out your top 5.
Well, as soon as that number goes to like closer to 100 or a negative, that's where I'll get nervous. But I just don't think you can trade him yet.
Yeah, like if you get rid of him now, you're saying the season's over, and we've only had 4 games. Like, you can't do that. There's still so many games left this season.
Look, captain of the Cam Ward cruise, right? That's what I am, and I get it, and I'm not shying away from it. And again, it's not because I love Tua. I just need a quarterback to play 17 games. Sorry for asking too much.
Right.
I think about trading Tyreek Hill now. What are we going to get for him now?
The value's got to be still relatively high.
It's still high, but like people understand we're desperate.
Correct.
If we hold on to him for the rest of the year, come draft time, people retiring, people getting injured, people move. That's where you move him. That's where you can really get capital for him. This is the number 1 player in the NFL. The only reason he's not being the number 1 player right now is because coach turned into Adam Gase, and we don't have a quarterback. But he's still got the talent. Come draft time, you trade him for a 1. You trade him for the 1. And you could theoretically do that. I mean, maybe not the number 1 overall pick, but if the Panthers, if the Giants are picking 2, you don't think the Giants want Tyreek Hill to pair with Neighbors?
Oh, could you imagine, right?
Daniel Jones would have a career resurgence.
Yeah. I think that this is what happens when a team starts struggling. The rumors start circulating.
You become sellers, and everyone's like, yeah.
It doesn't mean it's going to happen.
No.
It doesn't mean that they're really actively looking to trade him. There are teams that are trying to pick up wide receivers. Devontae Adams' name is out there because he says he would rather be in a different situation than Las Vegas.
I'll tell you, I don't want him going back to Rodgers. I really
don't.
don't.
Oh, right? That's the last thing that anybody needs is those two connecting.
I really, because like I'm loving that they're sucking again. Like life is coming back to normal.
Yes.
The Dolphins, like Ricardo came in before the show. We're so used to the Dolphins being bad. This is home. This is where we live. Like I need the Jets to be down here with us. And if they get Devontae, I'm not gonna enjoy
10-9 to the Broncos. They lost 10-9 to the Broncos. Like, they need something on that team. So I'm sure they are desperately trying to get somebody like Devontae Adams, who obviously has a great rapport with Aaron Rodgers. But I think that's all this is, teams start losing, people start talking. They're not really actively looking to trade this guy. They just paid him a huge pile of cash. Yeah. They realize that there's an injury thing happening here. They realize that Tua is going to be back in a few weeks, more than likely, it seems. So for them to just punt on the season now seems just way early.
And I hear what he's saying about, man, you just catch the ball, do a little extra, do as much as you can within the play. I'll be honest, I don't think he's allowed to say that, especially after kicking the fumble to the other team. He watched it go by. You remember when Cam Newton fumbled in the Super Bowl and he was just like, you guys have it.
Yeah, you got it.
That's what I swear to God I was thinking when I'm watching him not fight for the fumble. I'm screaming to the TV. My daughters are asleep, and they freak out and wake up because I'm screaming, it's a backward pass! Tyreek!
I give him the benefit of the doubt for the what was happening on the sidelines the other night. He's got to be frustrated.
Be mad.
Got to be frustrated.
Can I tell you where I'm frustrated? Oh, no, finish your point.
I was just going to say, if he's out there frustrated and he's trying to rile up, motivate his team, I get it, man. Like, that's his job. Do that.
Yeah, as a captain of this team, you have to.
I got no problem with that.
I saw David Long in sweatpants and a hoodie, talking to the defense, getting in their grill, the same way Tyreek was doing.
Do it.
You don't see Tua doing that.
Well,
and this is again where I get mad at all the lies from the offseason. I'm over the Jonnu lies. I've got him off all my fantasy teams. I'm 3-1. I'm fine. Where is this outspoken Tua? Where is this vocal leader Tua?
There was a lot of that in the offseason for sure.
And to the point where I'm watching him just sit stone cold face looking at the game. I'm like, oh, I guess he's not legally allowed with IR and rules. But then I see David Long doing it.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you can consort.
He's there.
You wouldn't be allowed on the sideline if you couldn't talk to
Correct.
your team. There's no vocal. There's no. The one thing I saw was at the end of a drive, he sat down with the quarterback's coach and Tyler Huntley on the bench, but he was away from Huntley. Like if anything, sandwich Huntley in the middle. Both of you give him advice. Let him learn how to play quarterback for the first time. It's like, he's not. We've been lied to, man. We've been lied to.
They got to do a better job, it seems like, too, of taking advantage of Tyler Huntley's skills as opposed to trying to put the round peg in the square hole.
Brother.
Trying to have him play Tua. That's not the style of quarterback he is.
I gained a lot of respect for his running game.
Yeah.
Man, he really did such good things running the ball, escaping from the pockets. And the Titans, I guess, were so cocky, they refused to put a spy on him the entire game. And he would just keep getting those first downs. Then we'd get a holding call. But he'd get it again. Like, it was really cool. My one thing is, why there's just a lot of problems. We're up against the clock. Sorry, I see the time.
That's Luis Diaz. I'm Will Althoff. Thanks to those of you listening to Fox Sports Radio Orlando. If you want to get in touch with us, 866-801-0940. On the other side, we're going to hear from the Patriots. They're starting quarterback this weekend, Jacoby Brissett, and head coach Gerard Mayo coming up here on Football Fridays.
We got a new quarter of our season coming up right now, so the mindset is, kind of not to clear the slate, but it's got a fresh start, and get ready for essentially week one. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where we are right now. And a lot of guys are excited about this opportunity as far as starting the second quarter of our season. And getting this thing off to the right foot. Obviously being at home, have been at home for a while. So, get to play in front of our fans.
I don't like, so here's the deal. We both don't like the Patriots.
No.
And we've been waiting for Bill Belichick to retire so we can find, he didn't pass Don Shula. But the way McDaniel's been coaching against rookie head coach, I'm not excited anymore. I'm not excited.
I'm looking, because we were talking off air about the Titans game and Mason Rudolph coming in. I didn't realize combined Mason Rudolph, Will Levis were 12 of 21 for 102 yards and a pick on Monday night. Those numbers are terrible.
But those numbers will start on the Dolphins.
And that'll beat the Dolphins 31-12. Like, it's wild. You mentioned as well, like, the Titans had to have a backup quarterback come in, and he led them to a win.
Yeah.
That is something that we're having a tough time with here in
Their
Miami.
backup quarterback with zero prep during the week of that he's going to play.
Right.
Had no idea he was going to play. And they relied on the run. I'm not going to go crazy and pretend like Kirk Cousined out there, but he did what he needed to do, move the ball when he needed to move the ball, and their offense didn't slow down. I'll say that. Their offense didn't slow down, and this guy had no prep. Tyler Huntley, for the last 2 weeks since Seattle, knew he was going to start at some point.
I'll give Mason Rudolph some credit because obviously he made a bunch of starts with the Steelers, so he's got some game time under his belt, whereas, Skylar Thompson doesn't have as many games under his belt. So maybe that's part of the reason why he
What's Tyler Huntley's excuse, though?
Yeah, that's true.
Right. Skylar didn't play.
Right. So this week, Jacoby Brissett, as we heard, and his numbers have been terrible. He has not been a great quarterback. He had 98 passing yards in week 3.
So bet the under.
Oh, man, just like it's crazy that you go into a game like this thinking, it could be close.
Can it? We thought that last week.
I hope it could be. Well, last week's game was close for a while.
It was.
Because nobody wanted to score. Nobody wanted to score.
No, you get in the end zone. No, you get in the end zone.
We're going to kick some field goals. Yeah, you go into this game and you think, and that's part of it too. You go into the last week and you're like, oh, the Titans are 0-3. This team stinks. We're going to go in there. It should be fine. You think the same thing about the Patriots. They're 1-3. This team, they're not great. We should be fine. They beat the Bengals in week 1, which was a surprise to everybody. They've leveled off ever since. But, yeah, it's a game where you're like, is this winnable?
I stand by what I said earlier, that I go into this game thinking we're going to lose. And I think all of Miami should, because all we've heard from the Dolphins is lies of how, oh, man, we've grown as a team. We're taking the next step. We're going to be Super Bowl contenders. Our offense, you should worry. You're worried about the offensive line more than we are. All we've heard is lies. They haven't backed up anything they said. And not to mention, they've been garbage. They've been garbage against bad and average teams.
Yeah.
It's not like not like the Patriots are a good team. They're a bad team, so we're going to lose.
It's the hope that we all had, and now it's just the defeat that everybody's feeling. But they got this game Sunday, 1 o'clock kickoff. The last time they played, October 29th last year, the final was 31-17. Your Miami Dolphins beating the New England Patriots. That was a game here at home.
Tua's still undefeated against them, which is pretty cool.
There you go.
Tua's undefeated against
not getting
Bill
a loss
Belichick.
this week.
Staying undefeated. Perfect record still. Clean slate.
You look at some of these numbers on the offensive side for the Patriots. I mentioned Jacoby Brissett before. He's got numbers like Kirk Cousins had last night, not even as many touchdowns. Ramondre Stevenson is 267 yards on the ground, 2 scores. Antonio Gibson, nothing on the ground. Just like
well, that's the thing with the Patriots is they don't have anyone that scares you.
Right.
The same way I wasn't scared at all about Tony Pollard, and all of a sudden he turns into Barry Sanders. Prime Barry Sanders. There's no one on that team that should scare you, and yet they're going to find a way to win by 3 scores.
3 scores, man. That's wild.
You know what it is? It comes down to Adam Gase. And I'm calling him Adam Gase on purpose. I know I'm not dumb. I know McDaniels is his birth
have
name.
The crazy eyes.
But brother, there's a couple pictures that are out there that I've seen, and I'm like, this guy did the face-off machine. Bro, do you understand? Travis Wingfield told me this stat. Didn't tell me. He told it on the podcast, but I pretend like I'm the only one listening. Do you understand the Titans had one drive of more than 30 yards?
Oh, man.
They got a touchdown on that drive. Don't get me wrong. It sucked. But they only had one drive of 30 yards. You know what we haven't talked about? What the hell's an onside punt?
What was that? My
problem is I was in the car when that happened, so I still haven't seen it. I'm terrified to watch.
It was such a weird play. And nobody knew what was going on.
How do you get the ball at the 10, my guy? What kind of rule is that? What kind of rule? That's like the joke of like, oh, you sack Tom Brady, automatic win for the Patriots. But that really happened.
It did. And we were all just dumbfounded watching it. We were all watching it going, what is happening right now?
I see it in your face.
Yeah.
I
like,
just took you right
we
back.
saw them punt it, and I was in the broadcast booth with OJ.
Yeah.
And OJ was talking about how you have to fair catch that. Like, you always have to fair catch it. If the ball's coming at you, you got to fair catch it. If you don't know what's going on, don't let somebody touch it by accident. Fair catch that ball. So we were all just watching it like, what is this? What happened? And then we thought, oh, well, the Dolphins get the ball back. They recovered?
Yeah, because I heard Jimmy and Joe saying,
Yeah.
oh, they all ran away from it. The Dolphins got the ball.
Right.
And then they get the ball
and
at the
then
10.
the Titans got the ball at the, and we were like, wait, what? It was so weird. And only does it happen to the Dolphins.
Yeah, I love that. We're so special. We're such a special team. The fun stuff happens to us.
That is Luis Diaz. I am Will Althoff. And we present Football Fridays until 6 o'clock tonight. Brandon Kravitz from the Fantasy Fix coming up next hour. Josh Moser from Channel 7 is going to check in as well. We'll be back in just a few here on Football Fridays. Back here on Football Fridays, I'm Will Althoff, and that's Luis Diaz. We're taking you up till 6 o'clock tonight. The Dolphins are in New England to take on the Patriots Sunday at 1 o'clock kickoff. You can hear the broadcast on the Miami Dolphins radio network. Miami Dolphins Baptist Health pregame show comes your way at 11 a.m.
That's not too much. That sounds like a Mike McDaniel play call. I feel like I should run in circles before we start that.
You have to run to both sidelines while you're saying it.
And then make sure 3 people are moving when they snap the ball so we get a flag on it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Illegal formation.
That's
motion.
That's called classic McDaniel.
We just got the injury reports. I'm looking to see what happened Friday participation. Ooh, Tyreek Hill was limited today. He is listed as not injury-related personal.
Visiting KC, trying to find some real estate options.
I wonder, looking at his options. Jalen Ramsey was limited today with his knee. Malik Washington limited as well.
The last time Tyreek Hill took a personal leave like that, his house was on fire.
Oh, man.
You remember that?
Yes.
That was fun.
Right?
Remember when we used to have fun at arson?
Like, this guy has had quite a few months.
Oh, my God. I'm looking at our injury report. There's names I've never heard. There's one name I've never heard of. Who is Tyus Bowser?
I don't know, but he was a full participant today. I think they just signed him. I think I got that update yesterday that they just signed him.
Did we need to
replace? Well, they had the spot open up because Jalen went on IR, so they had a spot available.
Oh man, the Patriots put 2 guys on the IR on their O-line. 2 offensive linemen on their IR, and the center, David Andrews, the big one, of course.
Yeah, David Andrews. They were talking about it all week about how his presence there is going to be missed for that team. Jacoby mentioned during his press conference the other day that one of the reasons he came back is because he loved working with David Andrews. So for him to go down, he felt really bad.
Really?
Yeah.
So okay, now we're talking about injuries. Can I ask you something? And this is not where you wanted to take this segment.
I love it. Let's go.
I tweeted this out a couple days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when I was actually a fan of Chris Greer up until the season went in the direction it went. And that's mainly because of injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went down on this deep dive rabbit hole of just trying to figure things out. Now, I'm not saying I prefer these players to other guys, but let's look at the players that this rebuild gave us, that Chris Greer used the rebuild to acquire. Obviously, number 1 is Tua Tagovailoa. When we picked him, I'd rather have him over Herbert, but Herbert, Hurts, and Love, other first-round quarterbacks, are still on the board. None of them have missed serious time, except Herbert maybe last year, to injury. But we chose Tua, a guy who still wasn't even healed from an injury that he had in college. But we chose the injured guy. Next year in the draft, we choose Jalen Phillips, a guy who medically retired from California.
Mm-hmm.
A guy who medically retired. We drafted him instead of Greg Rousseau. Okay.
Local guy.
Then let's talk about, from UM.
Yep.
Well, I guess Phillips is too, but not necessarily.
Only half.
Yeah, only a little bit. Let's look at free agents. OBJ, not the king of injuries, because the king of injuries would be Teron Armstead.
Oof.
Bradley Chubb, the year we traded him, the year before, he missed over half the games to injury. But we traded for him, gave him the bag. David Long. Huge injury history in Tennessee. Every person we have signed, except for maybe Jalen Ramsey, and given the bag to, because we don't just sign them, we give them the bag, has a huge, huge history of injury. Now, let's look at 2 players that we let walk in positions of dire need.
Mm-hmm.
Christian Wilkins and Andrew Van Ginkel. We let both of them go knowing that the most egregious one is Gink.
Yes.
We let him go knowing we were going to come into the season down 2 edge rushers.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Phillips beat science, was able to make it. But no one expected that.
Right.
We went in expecting not to have either of them, but we let Gink walk for a guy who's going to retire in 2 months. We let Christian Wilkins go for a guy who's 38. Granted, this is the only guy we've signed that isn't like an Iron Man.
He's been fantastic.
Calais Campbell doesn't miss a play.
He's been fantastic this year.
So I'm not going to say too much about Campbell, but you're letting these Iron Men walk. You let Robert Hunt walk and Connor Williams walk. I'm surprised because they're so injured. I'm surprised you didn't give them money. But let's look at the bed that Chris Greer made, and let's understand why people are calling for him to be fired. It's because he makes these terrible decisions. And how no one's holding him accountable is beyond me.
I think that they were in between a rock and a hard place this offseason with Tua, in the sense that he still had the year left on his contract, and there were some people that wanted to see him play it out because of the injury thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't want the team to pay the huge money because of exactly what happened. And I think that there's nothing wrong with being like, hey man, like we'd love to give you the money, but we gotta see you, we gotta see it. Like we can talk in a couple of months, but we gotta be able to know that you're gonna be out there for us. And right away.
Yeah.
Right away.
Game two.
Within the first 5 days of the season, he was out.
And knowing that, you don't get a competent quarterback.
Right.
A competent backup.
You got nobody waiting in the wings. And then, like you mentioned, with Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb, you knew that you needed to fill those positions. You bring in Chop Robinson, you bring in Mo Kamara. Okay, so you're going to rely on rookies to take over and fill in. Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb are the anchors of that defense.
100%.
It's not just positions that you're just just throw a guy in there. He can learn the system and run it. Especially, there's an entirely new defensive system now that you got Anthony Weaver coming in this year. So I completely agree. The injury thing is really starting to bite them. The Teron Armstead thing is just mind-blowing. You can't expect that guy for more than 10 games a year.
That's a lot of games for Teron.
Right? When he plays, he's good.
He's great.
He got poked in the eye and he got a concussion a couple of weeks ago.
And that Teron is to me in the same category as Tua. That you can't knock their on the field performance. And granted, we have a sour taste because of the last performance Tua made, bad game. But let's think big picture. This is not a guy you can knock his gameplay. No one should do it. If you do, you're a liar, or you're wrong. You don't know.
You haven't seen him. You haven't seen him play.
But these are guys that you just can't count on the entire year.
Yeah.
And in 2 very important positions, man.
And you would also think that because of what happened last year, when Gink stepped in and played great,
bald
Wilkins was him and Sealer were the anchors on that defensive line. You knew what you had in those guys. Yes, Calais Campbell comes in. He's been fantastic.
He's been great. Yeah.
They brought Emmanuel Ogbah back. He's had a couple of good plays. But
let's not forget that they also brought in Tier Tart, who ended up not even making it through training camp.
There's that. There's those guys that you had. Don't let them go. Keep them here. Hey, you're our guys. You stepped in when we needed it. You played great last season. We're gonna keep you guys around. As opposed to, you know what? This guy's got a better history. We'll bring him in instead. He's a bigger name. We'll bring him in.
Do you understand how good Van Ginkel's doing?
He's fantastic.
He's breaking everything in front of him.
Yeah.
Not to mention, here's 2 names that no one's been talking about, but they are easily top 10 safeties this year. Deshaun Elliott and Brandon Jones. Those are top 10 safeties this year. They have been crushing it on their new teams. We let them walk. And I didn't bring them up earlier because I'm very happy with Poyer, May, and Holland as our 3 safeties. But we let them go. And these are homegrown talents. You know what's going to happen? Greer's going to get lazy with signing Holland. Holland's gone next year.
Ugh. They can't keep losing these guys.
It's the problem. It's the problem with and who's been at the helm this entire time is the GM. Look, man, I this show's not paid by the Dolphins. We are on the same station that their games play. Mm-hmm. So if they want to fire me, they're gonna have to call my actual boss. They can't do it themselves. They got to go through channels. But here's my problem with the entire organization. If I have a show, which I do tomorrow at the Miami Improv 3 p.m., if I have a show,
Luis Diaz's house party,
and I don't do well, and people come the next show, and I don't do well again, I can't expect them to come to the third one. How they are expecting us to put up with this is it's unfair of them. It's unfair for McDaniel to expect Huntley to understand all the motions and shifts pre-snap on his first start with this offense. It's unfair of them to expect us to be happy to enjoy them. I'm not.
Ginkel wasn't even a starter until I can't remember if it was Chubb went down. Maybe it was when Chubb or one of them went down. That's what it was. It must have been when Phillips went down. Ginkel stepped in and played great. Now for the undefeated Vikings, he's a starter. He's got a pick. He's got 15 tackles. He's got 3 sacks. I mean,
he's got 2 touchdowns, no?
Guys all over the place. He's got 1. One for the TD. But, yeah, man, that was a guy you had. And the way that he played last year when he had to step in and fill in, he played so good.
Well, brother, it was a 3-headed monster. Whenever one of them wanted to tap their head, take a play off, Gink came in for either one and played to their standard.
They should have just paid the guy.
No, they wanted to pay Shaq Barrett to retire.
Oh, my God, right? So anyway, got a big game coming up on Sunday against the Patriots. We're going to discuss that coming up next hour, and some fantasy football as well with Brandon Kravitz. I am Will Althoff. That's Luis Diaz. If you want to get in touch with us, you can, 866-801-0940. You can hit the talkback mic on the iHeartRadio app as well. This is Football Fridays. I just think that I don't know what to think going forward.
I don't know what,
because I'm thrown off because you just told me.
Yeah. Right when you're playing.
Go ahead and say it.
The Dolphins. Wait, which one? Because we just said 2 things. The Dolphins one.
The release.
Dolphins just cut Tim Boyle. Literally right now, hot off the press.
It doesn't it makes no sense. I'm looking at this. Skylar Thompson, questionable because of his rib injury. Tyler Huntley,
hasn't
the
played
starter.
a full practice. Hasn't played a full practice. Skylar has not played a full practice.
Who is the backup?
Skylar Thompson.
That's terrifying.
Dude.
What is going on?
How fun. What a fun world we live in.
Maybe they're trading for a quarterback. Maybe that's what it is. We just don't know. They're going to bring somebody in.
We're getting Josh Dobbs? We're getting Dobbs, baby!
That, what is happening? That just seems like such a crazy move.
Dude, what the hell?
Tim Boyle was on this team for literally 3 weeks.
And so you know what? Here's my thing, guys. Ready? We saw the preseason. Skylar Thompson did awful. Mike White, in my opinion, with worse players, did equally awful. Ricardo disagrees. He thinks Skylar was better in the games. I thought they both did awful, and I trust Mike White more, but somehow he wins that battle. I didn't see it with my eyes, but whatever, they saw it. Let's go to Seattle. Skylar craps the bed.
Deer
Not
headlights. There. Just couldn't do it.
Shaky boy.
Looked like his first game ever.
Tim Boyle comes in, actually grasps the offense, moves the offense, does better than Skylar. This is twice the better quarterback has been cut. What does Skylar know? Get your tinfoil hats out. What does Skylar know about Stevie Ross or Chris Greer? He knows something.
He saw him at a Diddy party or something. I'm looking at this. Tim Boyle, 21 career games, 5 starts for Green Bay in 2019-2020. And Chicago, the Jets, Miami, whatever.
Garbage.
But at least he's got playing time. He's got starts I am fascinated by the fact that the backup quarterback this week is going to be Skylar Thompson, who has injured ribs.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens if Tyler Huntley goes down this weekend?
Wildcat,
baby.
Wildcat
all
Jalen
day.
Wright and Devon Achane. Bring back to Ronnie Brown, Ricky Williams.
What is happening?
Hey, man, what's Jay Fiedler up to?
That's a good question. Give him a call.
What's Jay Fiedler up to? What's Greg Camarillo up to?
Dante Culpepper's knee is fantastic.
Hey, Devon Bess, you want to suit up?
Devon Bess. So the other thing that you mentioned while we were listening to that sound of the Dolphins was
Devontae Adams posting a picture of Edgar Allan Poe, the reason the Baltimore Ravens have their name.
That's insane. Could you imagine if he went to Baltimore?
See, I'd rather that. They're not in our division. It's not right in my face. I'm already a little bit of a Baltimore fan because a couple buddies of mine are from Baltimore.
And they just took out the Bills last week.
Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, like they did our job for us. Like I like that. I can deal with that. I cannot see him with the Jets.
I don't think he's going to end up with the Jets. I think if anything, like I can't see the Raiders trading him to the Jets. To like
good.
I mean, maybe they want to help him, but I don't know why they would want to help him. Like he doesn't want to be on the team anymore. Send him to New Orleans, out of the conference. Just like go play with Derek Carr again. You want to play with Derek Carr again? Go
See,
back
that
to
would
New
be
Orleans.
cool. I love I love the relationship between the two of them. I would like that.
Go to the NFC.
Nah, I kind of need to see him with Lamar now.
Oh, could you
imagine? I kind of need to see
three-headed monster. It's Lamar, Derrick Henry, and Devontae Adams.
You know who's praying this is wrong is Zay Flowers. He's like, no, that's a joke, right, Vontae?
I'm number one.
Right, guys?
I'm number one.
Rashad Bateman crying in a corner somewhere.
Or they talk about potentially, I guess, the Chiefs because of Rashee Rice going on IR. They're talking about potentially those are
that's Tyreek's home. Baby.
That's where
Tyreek missed because of personal reasons. He's got to scout the real estate
what is that?
in Kansas City.
Personal reasons. I wonder what happened.
And I've been refreshing Twitter. Barry Jackson, Omar. No one's saying what the personal reason is, which is odd. I feel like that's something that would have leaked by now. Last year, we knew about the fire before he got out of practice.
Before he did.
Yeah.
He got told by somebody that his house was on fire because they saw it on the news. That's insane. But, yeah, Tim Boyle released today. So that means the two quarterbacks this weekend for your Miami Dolphins are Tyler Huntley and the injured Skylar Thompson. Okay. Like, I don't know. Like, what do you do?
Be a good game. We don't even have an emergency third quarterback. You understand that?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, nobody.
Like, we brought Tim Boyle in at the beginning when we cut Mike White because you need the We have two quarterbacks on the roster.
That's it.
They know Tua can't come in yet, right? They know they screwed up when they put him on the IR for the optics, and you can't take him off now.
He's there. He's stuck.
He's stuck.
He's not coming back until the Colts game. If that. Who even knows?
This is so
we
good.
don't know at this point. So you heard offensive coordinator Frank Smith and the starting quarterback this week, Tyler Huntley, there talking about the complications of the offense and being in the system for another week for Tyler. So he's hoping to get more of the verbiage and everything under his belt with another week in the system. So we'll see how that works out this weekend in New England.
I'm trying to get more anything out of that. So give me more anything. You know what the problem is, and here's where I think Mike McDaniel doesn't want to bend.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone's screaming. You've got Tyler Huntley. He brings a different skill set. You can't run. Dan Orlovsky and Louis Riddick were screaming it. You can't run the same offense you do with Tua with these other guys just because they do not
100%.
have the superpowers that Tua has.
Yeah.
But then you look at the film, and I see it on the film. It's like, man, you do have Tyreek Hill running wide open over here. You do have Jalen Waddle running wide open over here. Tyler just doesn't see it yet. And that's where Mike McDaniel's like, I don't got to give a play calling. Like the plays are there, they're just not making them.
Yeah.
But if they're not, if it's not in their capacity to make it, give them the plays that they do make. I mean, you got Mason Rudolph running plays off Madden, winning the game.
Well,
you got Malik Willis doing Madden plays. Like, just pull a play off Madden, run mesh.
Bubble screens all day.
No, that's McDaniel, baby.
Right?
He loves that.
That's it. Like with the motion stuff and everything, because of the timing, like you don't have to run all that motion. I mean, listen, I'm not a football coach. I'm not trying to tell somebody what to do. But if the intricacies of that are you have to be spot on with all of those things, and you're still just trying to learn all of the OJ told us there's a play call that's 22 words long.
Yeah, that's so fun.
You're trying to learn those things. Why complicate it more with being like, oh, by the way, there's going to be 3 guys running around behind you? Don't pay attention to that. Just make sure they're all set before you say hot.
Is it legal? And I know it's not very swaggy, So Tyreek Hill might not go for this. But is it legal for everyone to have the quarterback wristband?
Oh,
I don't think there's a rule against it, because if everyone's got the wristband, can't McDaniel just say, hey, play one, and then go into and keep an eye on the safe? Because that's what it is. It's like, hey, we're calling da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and you've got to look, and he's giving them, like, advice for the play.
Yeah.
Just say play one, and then Tyler Huntley in the huddle, huddle, huddle. Play one. Ready, break. That's it.
Right. That's interesting.
We can't do that.
I can't imagine that there's any
and
reason.
Then everyone goes to the thing. They look at play one on the wristband. They're like, okay, cool. I'm running a slant. I'm running a go.
See, and that's the thing. That's why I could never be a football player, because of all of the stuff you got to remember. Like, it's just so much.
But just put out.
Just give them some sort of right. Exactly.
It's not illegal. I don't think they can't have speakers in the heads in the headphones.
You can't have the helmet, right?
But they can have the wristband. Is hey, everyone, play one on two. Ready, break.
Listen, you do it like when you were in school. You put the answers under the watch band or something.
Bro, you get a stick, you draw it on the grass. This is what we're running, and you go.
That's it, go. Everybody, go deep.
Brother, quick slants, mesh, all verts, 4 verts. Like, I'm just trying to think of all the plays on Madden that don't require motion. I've been screaming it on every platform I can. We need a lineup FU play.
Mm-hmm.
Lineup FU. We run this all week. We know this like the back. We know these 4 plays like the back of our hand, and they're gonna get us 8 yards at minimum every time. Or you have a 3-yard FU play, an 8-yard and a 20, and just you don't need motion, you don't need anything. You just line up and you run. No, nothing tricky. And how we haven't had this when we all offseason everyone was screaming for him. This Yale kid is just too smart for his own good.
He was a wide receiver too. I wonder how much of it is like. Because he didn't get to I don't think he even played while he was at Yale. I think he was on the team, but I don't know that he actually played.
How bad are you that you can't get playing time at Yale?
So, like, how much of it is him, like, living out that dream of his, So he's like, nah, this is how we're doing it.
I mean, we watched that toss on 3rd and God knows what, that the 3 blockers on the outside that Jalen Wright is trying to Devon Achane is blocking a linebacker. Like, what did we sign Jonnu Smith for?
Right.
Like, I understand you're trying to be smart by putting the 3 skinny small guys and then running that way. Why don't you be smarter and put actual blockers there? My thing with my football coach, and look, we were not a good football team in high school or D3. We were not a good football team. But my coach was one of those proud guys, like, look, you can tell them to play. We're just going to execute it better.
Mm-hmm.
And when we had 2 of those plays that we could scream Black Mustang, and we know it's power left, and we're going to run it, and they could know what we're doing, but we're going to execute it better than they are, and you're just going to do it better. Like, I don't understand what McDaniel's aversion is to that. He's so scared because he likes to mess with the numbers and the formations because, if we take Tyreek and Hill out, they're going to think we're going to run, but actually we're going to pass. No, actually run in that formation.
Yes, there's no
What does it matter that they know if you're better than them? Do it.
It's going to be a good game this week.
I hate everything.
1 o'clock, Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. New England Patriots hosting your Miami Dolphins. We're going to take a break from that conversation. Coming up on the other side, our Baptist Health High School Football Game of the Week. We're going to talk about that coming up here next on Football Fridays. So the big game tonight. Central, Northwestern, Teddy Bridgewater, the head coach over there at Northwestern, and Coach Joseph over there at Central. They've been battling for years. 2 of the top teams here in South Florida. It's going to be an awesome game tonight.
You got them. Every college is here. Like, I know.
Right? Like, they're looking at everybody.
Well, this is the first year UM has to travel all the way to California. Of course, it's this weekend. You think Mario's like sends them out and stays behind?
Yeah, they definitely have people watching. Even if Mario...
If it's not Mario, they've got someone.
For sure, they've got people at that game.
This is a game that
you got to think every school around here has got people at that game, right?
FIU's guys,
yeah.
They're like, hey, we're here.
Come on.
You can leave. FIU will take the 3rd string guy that doesn't even get off the bench. And this game will probably be better.
Hey, you want to stay here in South Florida, right? You want to stay home. Come and play with us.
For education.
So that's going to be a great game. Traz Powell Stadium, 7:30 kickoff tonight. Appreciate it. Kevin Lawrence joining us for our Baptist Health high school football report once again this week. Of course, we do that around 4:15 every Friday afternoon here on Football Fridays. But what did you just read about Tim Boyle?
Oh, yeah. Omar Kelly's out here speculating because he's been seeing Skyler still struggle. Like the way you saw Skyler struggle to take his jersey off after the Seattle game. Apparently, he's still hurt. So Omar Kelly is the one is out here speculating. It makes sense.
Yeah.
We release him to make room on the roster for maybe like an OBJ if we're going to activate him, or maybe Cam Smith we're ready to activate. We make room by releasing Tim Boyle, but then signing him onto the practice squad and then elevating him on game day as the second quarterback, which makes sense.
Yeah.
It would be the first thing Chris Greer does that makes sense in a long time.
All this finagling for Tim Boyle?
Yeah, he does it. Now you're making cool, smart moves.
All of this for Tim Boyle to be the backup this week because Skylar Thompson can't put his jersey on.
Dude, why did we draft? Oh, my God. Why did we draft Chop Robinson if he's not going to play?
That's a whole different discussion.
Graham Barton was still on the board. We need O-line help.
Nah, who needs O-line help?
I don't know. I'm thinking of all the bad things Chris Greer's done.
Well, they're going to try this weekend in New England.
That was a strong inhale. You were like, most people breathe for oxygen. You were looking for positivity. I don't know if you found it.
Well, it's going to be a game on Sunday. 1 o'clock kickoff from Gillette Stadium.
Your wife puts on a shirt that looks hideous on her.
What are you gonna
Babe, what do
say,
you think
man?
of the shirt? Well, it does have color on it, and it has multiple colors. And if you like wearing that, that's great for you.
I like that.
If you like it, baby, I like you.
My kids always know if I start a statement with, listen, I'm basically going to be telling them that I need them to do something. Listen, I need you two to shut up and put your stuff away.
Yeah.
That's it's just sometimes you got those tells.
You know what it is with me? I get a really happy voice. Because I'll
You're
ask
trying
him
to play them.
I'll ask him because I asked him to do things 2 times.
Yeah.
And I give him both times. I ask him once regular, I ask him twice regular. If they don't do it, I go, Mom, guess what? The girls don't want me to be happy anymore. So I get to be angry because they don't listen when I'm happy. So this happy dad is leaving in 1, 2, and then by the time I get to 2, Dad, we're gonna clean
I
this
should
square.
try that.
Yeah.
Usually I start here and then I'm up here.
It sounds psychotic,
but
and I think that's why they fear
probably
it so much.
right. They're like, what is wrong with him?
Oh my gosh, Mackenzie, you don't want me happy anymore. Angry dad, you want angry dad? Oh, why didn't you tell me? And then psycho dad.
Oh man,
it's so bad.
Dad life. It's like the most rewarding and most difficult thing ever.
I don't think I'm doing it right. I know I'm
definitely
doing
not.
it. I know I'm doing it, though.
Right? I had a coworker one time, me and Manny, who does the show on 610. We were in there talking, and the guy comes through the speaker. He goes, "Hey, you idiots! You're fine. You care. Your kids don't. They're fine. You care."
You idiot.
He was like, "You guys are good."
Well,
and I always think about that when he said that. He was like, your kids are fine. You care about them.
My daughter had dance class yesterday, and she didn't want to go in. She's like, Dad, I just want to stay with you. And so one of the moms was like, no, excuse me, it was one of the dance teachers that goes, hey, you know, it's cool that she'd rather be with you. You're very fun. I'm like, no, I pay for this dance class.
No, she's supposed to go. This is my break.
If you're telling me to be less fun, I can do that. I appreciate the compliment, but right now she needs to go into what I'm paying for. Miss Stephanie. Shout out Miss Stephanie.
That is Luis Diaz. I am Will Althoff, and on the other side, we're going to tell you who we are bringing and not bringing to the tailgate. That's brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Coming up on the other side here on Football Fridays. We are back on Football Fridays. I'm Will Althoff. That's Luis Diaz. Before we get into who we're bringing to the tailgate, brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka, my wife just sent me a picture. She stopped at McDonald's with the kids to grab a couple of Happy Meals because we have to fly out of town tonight. She literally ordered a piece of cheese for my daughter, and it came in a box.
Can you do that?
I guess so.
Apparently
It happened.
You can.
She
the answer is
ordered
yes.
a piece of cheese.
I like that they put it in the box because I'm sure it
box.
came wrapped, but they unwrapped it, put it in the box.
We order my daughter a cheeseburger. She'll, scrape the cheese off of it. Doesn't always eat it. Like she just loves cheese.
Oh, okay. So
that's why it was like, oh, well, let's just order a piece of cheese and see what happens.
And she'll eat the cheese.
She'll eat the cheese.
Dude, nice.
She'll eat a piece of cheese melted on a plate.
My cousin, when he was a baby, he would only eat bread and onions. So we took him out. I didn't know this. But I'm 12 years older than him. So like we're at a family thing, and we're at like a family friend thing. So he came to be friend to like keep my younger sister company. They have the same age. And I'm there giving him food. I'm 12 years old than him. I got to give him his food.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the one in charge of him. And I go, all right, here's the spread. It was a barbecue. Here's the whole spread. What do you want? You want chicken nuggets? No, I want that. And he points at onions. I'm like, you're an idiot. No, you don't. And he goes, I want that. Primo, please, I want that. So whatever. I give him onions. I give him bread. I'm like, that's all you want? The whole spread. I call his sister. I'm like, oh, yeah, Sebastian only wants bread and onions. And they go, yeah, we should have warned you. Yeah, that's all he eats. I was like, what?
Bread and onions?
Yeah. He
That's
eats
such a
the
weird
onions
combo.
Straight. No
Really?
salt. No, like onions.
Gotta be sweet onions, though, right?
Brother, onions.
Just any kind of onion.
He was 3 years old. He didn't know the difference. But he would eat the onions straight up like an apple.
That's
and
wild.
and eat the bread. And he would just, I literally call him like,
bread chaser.
I'm like, this isn't real, right? They're like, no, Lewis, it really is. I'm sorry I didn't warn you. I understand you're probably feeling weird. If you need to go take a breather. I'm like,
I thought you were going to say it was like a sandwich or something.
No, he eats the onion by itself, eats the bread by itself. Kid's the craziest kid I've ever met.
Stuffing must be his favorite thing at Thanksgiving. It's basically bread and onions, right?
That's really it.
That's it.
No, honestly, I still give him to give him crap. I'll give him a plate of onions. If we're at a party, I'll give him a plate of onions. Like, hey, brother, I know you like this.
So speaking of the cookout at the tailgate this week, I got somebody who I'm going to bring.
You do?
I do. I'm going to bring Jalen Phillips.
Oh,
because we are going to drown our sorrows, bro.
Oh, he needs it.
After last year, he put in so much work to come back this year, and he made it back for week 1 from that Achilles injury, and he was out there doing his thing, and now he's got a knee injury, and he's going to miss the rest of the season. Got put on IR this week, and
friendly fire too.
Yeah, man. And last year, same thing. Like he was pushing off. It wasn't during. He wasn't tackled during nothing.
No.
He was just pushing off, and it's just like, guy can't catch a break. And just feel so bad for that guy, especially because he's such a cool guy and he's such a nice guy.
So good looking. Wait, what? What did you say? What did you say, Will?
That's the off-air conversation.
Yeah.
You just feel bad for that guy. That he
100%.
puts in all that effort, and now he's going to miss the rest of this season as well. So Jalen Phillips, I'm bringing him to the tailgate. He and we're going to make some drinks. We're going to drown our sorrows with some cocktails.
I like that. You know, I got someone who's on the other end of that journey.
Okay.
You know, someone's been gone a while. You forget they even exist. You forget they're even a part of the friend group. All of a sudden, they come back from out of town, and first thing you got to do is share a beer with them. Raheem Mostert says he's expecting to play.
Oh, fingers crossed.
According to the injury report, he's not even questionable.
That's good.
Raheem,
let's hope
you're invited to the tailgate, brother. Just because I need to remember what it's like to hang out with you.
Oh, he was so good last year. It was so much fun last year.
And you know who I feel bad for is Jalen Wright, because after the Seattle game that we're screaming to get him touches, he got all the touches in the world against Tennessee. They just didn't go that well.
Didn't really do much.
But neither did Devon Achan's touches go well at all. Raheem, brother, he's fought back from this injury. I heard McDaniel today in the press conference say he had one healthy snap all year. And on that first snap, that first touch is when he gets hurt.
Brutal.
And on the other side, it wasn't like OBJ that he didn't even play. Like we were excited for Raheem, touchdown champion of the Miami Dolphins franchise. Brother, you're back. We need you. We need something. We can't get Tua because of law. We got you. Let's make something happen.
I just saw this note from Ricardo. I'm going to use this. I'm going to bring Roger Goodell to the tailgate.
I see. Okay, I see why.
Because according to the NFL, officials today touted a record of low preseason concussions, and they pledge that they won't impose an outcome for its most notable concussion patient. Dolphins. I'm reading the ESPN story.
Is that the way they worded it?
That's the opening line.
I hate them.
The most notable concussion patient, Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. So
as soon as he's cleared, they're not going to be like, no.
They're not going to tell the team that they need to keep him on the bench a little longer. They're going to leave it alone. They're going to let the doctors and the team handle it. So that's some good news because there was some thought that people. I mean, you heard the outcry when he had his concussion, this most recent concussion. That there were people saying, "Oh, the league needs to step in.
The league needs to save him from himself.
Yes,
the league can't let him come back in.
All of those things."
Oh yeah, that was all Jets fans, by the way, saying the league needs to stop him.
Slow him down. So anyway, the league today saying that they will not step in if he gets medically cleared. They're going to let him play. So that's some good news for the Dolphins.
This invite is again. Thanks to Ricardo, he's the one that brought this to our attention.
He's on fire today.
Man, when they call him a producer, he actually wears that to heart.
He is producing.
Carlos doesn't do nothing. But Ricardo, man, that guy produces a show. And he sent me this. He sent both of us this. It's something I didn't realize that you guys educated me. It doesn't matter NFL, college. Wherever the game is, the team flies, the media flies, the ownership, front office, coaches. But the equipment has to drive.
Yes.
And I guess the Dolphins are used to it by now. They don't always go to Seattle, but when they do, they got to make that drive. Mm-hmm. And now that the ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference, the conference of football that revolves around the Atlantic Coast, has opened its doors to the Pacific, the equipment team has had to do something they've never had to do, which is drive. Maybe they've had to do it back in the past, but I'm talking Mario Cristobal's world.
Yeah.
Has to now drive to Berkeley, I believe, right?
Yeah, for the game tomorrow.
To Berkeley for this game. It's amazing. The way Josh Pate tweeted it out, Miami equipment team has traveled 1,200 miles. They're not even halfway.
I made that drive. I moved from here to California. It's not an easy drive.
Hey, man, I flew. Not an easy flight.
Yeah, I can't imagine having to carry an equipment truck and driving across the country for this. And the thing is, at least with the Dolphins, the moment the game is over, they're loading up that truck. You know what I mean? So they're loading up to get on the road to get to the next place. That's the thing. So these guys are making this huge drive all the way across the country. They'll have a break during the game tomorrow. And then they got to load everything up and drive back.
Well, here's my question. Is this the same equipment that they use to practice? It can't be. If they left,
can't be, right.
If they left 2 days ago, it can't be.
And I know for the Dolphins, right, it can't be because obviously they travel for away games, but they were here practicing all week before they travel to New England tomorrow.
So here's my thing with this. They've got time. You know they're stopping off at Vegas, right?
Oh, if only, right?
That's why they left on the 2nd, or they left on the 1st. They're stopping off at Vegas, having a drink. I know they don't need an invite to the tailgate because they got Vegas on the way up and back. Brother, when you come back, get over here to the tailgate.
We got your spot here.
Yeah.
That is who we're bringing to and not bringing to the tailgate. We're bringing everybody this week, which is a good thing.
I got people I cannot invite if you want me to get fired.
No, we like everybody coming and just feeling the camaraderie.
Positive tailgate.
Positive energy today, Lewis.
Yep.
Who we're bringing to the tailgate, brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka. We do it every week here on Football Fridays. Coming up next, our fantasy guru, Brandon Kravitz from the Fantasy Fix. You can hear it on the iHeartRadio app beginning at 10 o'clock on Sundays, also locally here in Miami on Fox Sports 940. He's coming up next to give us some tips for this weekend's action, next on Football Fridays. Back here on Football Fridays, I'm Will Althoff. That's Luis Diaz. And as always, every week, we have our fantasy guru, Brandon Kravitz from the Fantasy Fix. You can hear it on the iHeartRadio app Sundays beginning at 10 a.m. You can also hear it locally here in Miami on Fox Sports 940. Brandon, what's happening?
Just getting ready for another exciting weekend. We got a big college football game in the city of Orlando coming up on Saturday, so a nice little appetizer to a football Sunday. And, I mean, this game that I'm sure you guys want to talk about that happened last night, pretty incredible. So, loaded plate. Feels like Thanksgiving.
Before we get into yesterday, I do want to commend you for just being here, because the last time we had someone come on this show and just be completely wrong in a prediction, we still haven't heard from that guy since. And I asked you about DeAndre Swift. You said, dude, Roschon Johnson. They said Roschon Johnson, and I benched DeAndre Swift, and I'm looking at 20-something points sitting on my bench. And everyone's like, Lewis, I told you to do it. I'm like, no, Brandon told me not to put him in. And so I just want to say thank you for being here.
Yeah, no, the pleasure is all mine. Don't worry. I will never give advice that I would not execute myself. So you are not alone in putting DeAndre Swift on your bench.
No,
but,
I did feel like I felt
Roshan
like
Johnson did get us a touchdown.
Yes, he did. He did.
That.
I felt cool when that touchdown came through. But I remember I'm looking at this. Guys, put 20 on my bench. I could only think of you. I was like, Juwan Jennings was great. We can't bat 1,000 here, and that's fine. But now we know.
Brandon, that was a wild game last night. Now, let me ask you about this. Kirk Cousins, before the season, did anybody expect him to put up these numbers? I think people thought that he was going to Atlanta maybe just be like a little placeholder for Michael Penix Jr., but he has come out just on fire.
Yeah, these numbers I don't think you expect from Patrick Mahomes. 500 yards
right?
and 4 touchdowns. That was an incredible performance by him. But honestly, what he had done prior to this game was a little pedestrian. He hadn't been above 300 passing yards yet. He hadn't had more than 2 touchdowns, and even that was something that he was only able to accomplish in one game prior to last night. It felt like a little bit of a coming out party. The Bucs do have a banged up defense right now. They didn't have a great secondary to begin with, but Antoine Winfield being out for the last couple of weeks has certainly hurt their prospects on defense. But you got to give credit where credit is due. I think Atlanta is realizing too their ground game really isn't anything to behold. Bijan Robinson has struggled. He doesn't look great. And there's a real split between him and Tyler Algier. They only rushed for 73 yards as a team. They put it on Kirk Cousins, and he came through. So some of that is game script dependent, and some of it is them realizing where their bread is buttered. It's great for Cousins, and it's really great for everybody that's catching passes from him.
2 things. I think Cousins really came out during that Eagles game in the fourth quarter when he led that comeback. That was a huge game for them, and they've been really on a roll ever since. And 2, Bijan Robinson. I had him as part of my parlay last night. All I needed was a touchdown, Bijan. Come on.
It's amazing. Everybody that I talk to, including myself, we're like 1 or 2 things away from hitting their parlays, yet we had a 36-30 game. How are we all coming up short? It doesn't make any sense. I had my big one last night was Chris Godwin over 67.5 receiving yards. He had 64. Like one catch would have got us there. And so, yeah, it was sort of a bust of a night.
This is a question I was meaning to ask you last week. Chuba Hubbard. You know who I'm talking about. Panthers running back. He is doing nothing. He did the exact DeAndre Swift move a week earlier. And so he's doing nothing. Balls out 2 weeks ago. Does really well last week. Where does he stand in terms of these running back rankings? Is this something we can expect? Throw him in the starting lineup, or something to be wary of as soon as the Andy Dalton charm starts to fade?
No, I think he's a must-start guy until further notice. I don't love the matchup this week against Chicago, but just given the usage, once you start getting down the list of running back rankings, it gets kind of hairy quick. I know Swift had that great game last week. I would still start him over a player like DeAndre Swift. Hubbard has given you 2 big weeks in the last few games. That's more than a lot of these guys can say. My bigger concern than the Andy Dalton Bloom being off the rose at some point, which we know eventually, he'll tail off. He's always done that. I worry about Jonathan Brooks. He was the first running back. Wasn't a great running back class, but he was the first running back drafted in the real NFL draft. And he was a guy that tore his ACL in the middle of last season for the Texas Longhorns. They're really high on him, and he's a very talented player. If he now he should be off IR at this point because you're entering into week 5. If he starts playing, he will cut into Chuba Hubbard's workload. So if that happens, that's my bigger concern. But until you see that take place, I think Hubbard has to be in your lineup.
Nice.
Brandon Kravitz, one of the co-hosts of the Fantasy Fix. You can hear it on the iHeartRadio app Sundays at 10 a.m. You can also hear it locally here on Fox Sports 940 in Miami. The Steelers have really been surprising this year as well. I don't know that anybody really thought that Justin Fields was going to be the starting quarterback for this team. Russell Wilson obviously hasn't had a chance. He was dealing with some injuries, whatever.
You did. You
I
knew.
did. I don't want to take. I don't want.
Come on, give yourself credit,
I don't want to
bro.
give myself the pat on the back, but I felt that coming. Just Russell Wilson struggled so bad in Denver, and I just felt like they brought Justin Fields in Pittsburgh because they knew that it was either going to be sink or swim with Russ, and he's just not there. So, do you think Justin Fields can hold it up? I mean, do you think he's going to put numbers on the board as the season continues, or are they going to start to level out at some point?
They have to level out at some point, but what the Steelers are doing is not sustainable for the talent that they have, but it just speaks to the level of coaching. Mike Tomlin is one of the best that does it. You got to like what you see from Justin Fields. The problem is he's not going to go up against the Colts every week. Through 312 through the air, he had 3 total touchdowns, 2 on the ground. That's a dynamic performance. The Colts can't stop the run. So that game's set up to be a really productive one for the Steelers offensively, even though they lost the game. But for fantasy purposes, we don't care about that. I think Justin Fields, if he's still on your waiver wire, you can comfortably start him over some star quarterbacks. As crazy as it sounds, guys, I would start him over Patrick Mahomes.
Wow.
I mean, Mahomes,
wow. Justin Fields.
And he's not talking about fantasy, guys. He means real life.
I don't. It's insane. It won't feel comfortable hitting that button, but I think it'll pay off for you. You get Justin Fields in that primetime spot against Dallas, who also has a bit of a shaky defense, and Micah Parsons that is dealing with an injury of his own. Patrick Mahomes just hasn't been a great fantasy quarterback. He hasn't even been a good one. So I'll give you an example for me of how low I am on Mahomes right now. I needed to upgrade a quarterback in one of the leagues I'm in. So I made a trade that involved I was trading away Sam Darnold because I think that is going to fizzle out pretty quickly. And so the person I was trading with had Mahomes and Brock Purdy. And I didn't even bother putting Mahomes into the trade.
Wow.
I went right after Purdy.
Wow.
That's where we're at right now. So it's a wild world we live in.
I'm looking at these these rookies. These rookies are kind of like, especially the wide receivers, Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brian Thomas Jr. I've got Brian Thomas on my bench, but he's been doing really well. These rookie wide receivers are doing so well. And when you think about, except for Kyler Murray, you've got Danny Dimes and Trevor Lawrence, who are very underachieving quarterbacks, making these receivers look so good. I ask that as a Dolphins fan. Like, is there a point that with Tyler Huntley or Skylar Thompson that because I'm too nervous to take Tyreek off my bench for that one game. It just seems like it's never going to come. What is your stance on the Tyreek Hill or maybe even Jalen Waddle as well, any Dolphins player?
Yeah, and I mean, as bad as Daniel Jones and Trevor Lawrence have been as NFL quarterbacks, they're still NFL quarterbacks, and I can't say that about the guys that the Dolphins are trotting out there under center. And I think that's the difference. Daniel Jones is among the worst starters in the NFL. Tyler Huntley shouldn't be sniffing a starting job. Yeah. Neither should Skylar Thompson. So those guys are dragging those players down. You know how bad you have to be to make Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle look bad? I mean, let's just think about that for a second.
That's a good point.
You've got to be next level bad at your job to have Tyreek Hill catching 2 passes for 23 yards. It's a joke, and I was already at the point, we've talked about this the last couple of weeks. I was already benching Jalen Waddle. I think I got to be there with Tyreek Hill too. And it's scary to do that because at any point he could get that one catch and go off and you'll regret doing it. So you got to have somebody that you really love. But Brian Thomas Jr. is one of them. If I had him on my bench and Tyreek Hill as a starter, I would be starting Brian Thomas Jr. I trust the quarterback more. I trust the offense more right now. The Dolphins, I love Mike McDaniel. He is not adjusting to the new quarterbacks that are in his scheme. And the reason why I'm not going to go like blazing on that is because I'm not sure it would matter if he did. And that might be what he's looking at. Like, I could change my offensive scheme. These guys aren't going to be able to run the new scheme I come up with either. So I might as well go with the one that the rest of the team knows. Well, so I just think we're sort of stuck here.
I'll ask because I got Tyreek Hill in my team, and it's the team that it's the league that I've got DeAndre Swift in. So my running backs are scarce. This guy offered to trade me Garrett Wilson and David Montgomery, for Tyreek Hill. Garrett Wilson and David Montgomery for. But I'm scared because when Tua comes back, that's playoff time. Don't I need him?
Dude, that's not an awful trade if Tua was healthy. So yes, we have no assurances. I can't imagine that if the Dolphins lose the next 2 games, they're sitting at 1-5, and then that's the first week that Tua is able to return to the lineup. Are they really going to look at a 1-5 team and say, let's get Tua out there so that he can get his reps? They've got so much invested in him. No matter what happens, if Tua wants to play quarterback, he has to be the Dolphins quarterback next year, just financially speaking. So you got to make sure you protect that investment. At 1-5, what's the point of bringing him back? So if you can get that, if that offer, I want you, before you guys hang up on me, if that offer is sitting there, I want you to hit the button. We can do it together. Burn some incense while we do it.
I'm so scared. I don't want to do it.
We're running out of time, Brandon. We didn't even get to the fact that Tyreek Hill might get traded back to the Chiefs and what that means for his fantasy potential. But we're running out of time, we will save and discuss the potential trades maybe next week. Brandon Kravitz, one of the co-hosts of the Fantasy Fix, which you can hear on the iHeartRadio app locally here in South Florida on Fox Sports 940 Miami. Brandon, always appreciate it. Good luck this weekend. We'll talk next week.
Hit the button. Bye, guys.
Yeah, I better be the only guy trading Tyreek. I better be.
Brandon, thanks, man. Appreciate it as always.
Later, guys.
See ya. That's right. We're back here on Football Fridays. I'm Will Althoff. That's Luis Diaz. Man, I forgot about this guy, Chris, whatever his name is, on NFL Network. He's been around forever.
Yeah, but he's like an ESPN guy, right?
Yeah, the beard threw me off because he never had the beard, but now he's got a beard. And I'm like, who? Wait, what?
I still can't remember his name, but I know his face.
Chris something. I think that's his name.
They're all Chris.
Even
Stephen A's name is really Chris.
That's what the A stands for, Chris.
Stephen A. Chris Smith.
Dolphins in New England this weekend to take on the Patriots, Gillette Stadium. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff. Football coverage on the Miami Dolphins radio network gets underway at 11 a.m. with the Miami Dolphins Baptist Health pregame show. Was that me or was that no?
That was me. Sorry. Go ahead. Keep going. Don't worry. Don't bring attention.
Pregame show. That kicks off at 11 a.m. with Steve Goldstein and O.J. McDuffie. They've got your coverage this week. There's a bunch of interesting games happening this weekend. Browns-Commanders. Browns-Commanders is an interesting game to me.
Why?
Because Deshaun Watson, they signed him to that huge contract. It was like he was supposed to be, and the Browns, they got a solid team. Their defense is really good, and they stink. I don't think anybody expected to be 1-3. But on the other side,
the team that they expected to be 1-3 are the Commanders.
Exactly, the team that I'm predicting wins the NFC East. I said that was my thing last week. Last week, Walter.
Yeah, but I thought that was part of the bid. I know
real.
Walter believes that. Will Althoff believes that?
Yes.
William.
They're gonna win the division, man. Jaden Daniels, I believe him.
That's big talk, but the Eagles suck, and the Cowboys are the Cowboys, and the Giants are the Giants.
Giants are terrible. So
you know what? You might not be wrong.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's not like they got a lot of stiff competition in that division, but the Commanders have just played out of their minds this year.
You're not. What? That's to me, but that's what makes this game not interesting. It makes it interesting in the fact that we thought the roles were going to be reversed, but like this is going to be a game that's going to looked like the Dolphins-Titans game. It's going to be very one-sided.
What about Cardinals-49ers?
That one's intriguing.
Yes.
That one gets me revved up.
I think there could be some points on the board in that game.
You think the field goal kickers?
Yeah, they're definitely gonna get some touchdowns in this game.
Wait, is it the Commanders that like their punter doesn't exist anymore?
Yeah, I think that's right. It's like when
it's gone
the
like
Colts,
30. Yeah,
it's like when the Colts used to play and McAfee would never play. He would never have to punt,
take a nap.
Yeah, because they were either kicking field goals or scoring touchdowns.
Yeah, I think it's the Commanders that they went like 30 drives.
Wow.
They and then I saw on Instagram. That Caleb Williams, when they drafted the punter in the 4th round, he go, "Hey, you ain't gonna be working much," and this dude is nonstop.
Man, you can't say that.
He is earning his money.
Packers at Rams. Jordan Love gonna play this weekend.
Why? Aren't they doing better with Malik Willis?
Probably right.
I
But
think they
especially
are.
The Rams have not been really that good. They've been all right, but Giants-Seahawks, that should be a terrible game. I expect the Seahawks to just roll the Giants. The Giants have nothing at this point.
Not fun to watch.
Cowboys-Steelers. Steelers are going to easily win that one, I think. Justin Fields, man. Who thought that guy was going to take off?
One guy. One guy.
And not that he really took off. The Steelers' defense has been really good.
He's just the healthy one that's better than Russ.
That's it. Saints-Chiefs. It's interesting.
It's interesting because the Saints are kind of like the Commanders. They're playing better than anyone thought they would.
Yeah. The Rashid Shaheed came out of nowhere. 15 catches so far this year. He's got 2 touchdowns, 252 yards receiving. Chris Olave, he's got 1 touchdown. He's got 5 more catches, though, 20. 265 yards. But,
I also just remembered that we got the London game this weekend.
Yes. That
early on Sunday.
That's one of Walter's predictions.
Walter's got something to do with that?
Yeah, he's got something to do with that.
All right.
But that's the Vikings-Jets playing 9:30 in London on Sunday. When I lived in L.A., I loved the London game because it was 6 o'clock in the morning.
How do you enjoy that?
Oh, it was the best. You wake up, and it's football at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then you just watch it all day, and at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it's done.
Yeah, but wouldn't you rather start at 9:30 than 6:30?
Nah, man. Just wake up and go.
Nah, no, but yeah, I wake up and go. Wake up at 9:30. Man, that Carolina-Chicago game, that just looks like a terrible one, man.
I imagine they thought that Bryce Young versus Caleb Williams was going to be, the previous 2 number 1 picks. They had all their eggs in that basket, and then Bryce just didn't hold up his end of the bargain. Not that Caleb Williams is doing much better, but I imagine
it's so cool how the number 1 draft pick the last 2 years has been outperformed by the very next guy.
Right. Yes.
The very next guy. I love that. And that's why, like, even in fantasy, I always prefer to have the number 2 pick. So much pressure on the number 1. And last year, everyone got Jefferson. He got injured. This year, everyone got CMC. He got injured. Here I am with Tyreek Hill both years. Not this year. It sucks. But, I'm okay.
Yeah. Well, it's like when Trailblazers selected Greg Oden over Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Like
you think too much.
See, that's the thing, man. You got these 2 guys in front of you, and you're like, this is going to make or break our franchise. We can't get this wrong. And then the team that picks 2, who just picks up the other guy because he's the one available, they're the ones who go on to flourish.
How do you feel about Jacksonville?
I don't know what to make of Jacksonville.
So we're the only team that hasn't held a lead. They're the only team without a win.
Yeah, I don't know. I figured that they would be at least a little better than this. Against the Colts, I mean, the Colts got to travel to Jacksonville.
But they don't even know if Anthony Richardson's going to play. And even if he does, he sucks.
Yeah,
it's like Will Levis. It's like you get better when you go to your backup.
Oh, man. I didn't realize that you know who the backup was last week for the Colts?
I do know.
I had no idea. I don't know how I missed this.
Backup king.
Is he going to become back player of the year again this year?
Dude, man.
Could you imagine?
I'm loving I saw the backup quarterback commercial with Lowe's, with Case Keenum.
Yes.
I think they got one with Josh Dobbs.
I haven't seen that one. I saw the Case
very
Keenum.
New. Joe Flacco. I know you won a Super Bowl and you're a Super Bowl MVP. You got to do this backup quarterback commercial.
Right? That's amazing. Joe Flacco going to potentially be out there again. And the Jaguars, man, 2 seasons ago when they were in the playoffs, everybody's like, oh, look at this team.
Yeah.
And it's just like.
The Jaguars are a weird team because I remember the year that they went 15-1. And they were the AFC champs, and they had Jalen Ramsey.
Broncos?
Huh?
Oh, no.
They lost to the Pats.
Pats. Okay.
They lost to the Patriots. But the Jacksonville Jaguars are a team that they'll go to the playoffs looking great.
Yeah.
And that sets them back for 5 years.
That's it, man.
Then they'll go again, and then they're just they are who they are.
And they just paid Trevor Lawrence a ton of cash, so they're stuck with him.
I'm happy. Look, we made our bed paying Tua. But I felt more confident paying Tua than I did paying Trevor. Trevor Lawrence is Daniel Jones with good hair.
He's got great hair.
That's it. That's the only difference between them. And I don't like Danny Dimes.
65 of 122 this season. He's passed for 729 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a pick. So through 4 games, 4 touchdowns. That's not great from a guy who's getting paid $50 million a year or whatever it is.
He's got Kirk Cousins' stat line from yesterday.
Oh, he wishes that he had Kirk Cousins' stat line.
No, for the season.
Well,
yes,
said. Right, for the
with
season,
Jacoby
yes.
Brissett?
Oh, Brissett, yeah. I mean, just terrible. But you look at that game, and that's a terrible division battle between those two teams. I don't know. Like I said, I thought the Jaguars would be better. But, there's so many things that don't make sense so far this year. And then you look at the old stalwarts, the Chiefs, 4-0.
4-0.
I imagine that they're going to beat the Saints. I have no reason to believe that the Chiefs are going to lose to anybody because it doesn't matter who they trot out there on the field. And we know that Rishi Rice went on IR.
Hollywood Brown is on IR. I know that because both of them are in my fantasy IR.
Oh, man. It doesn't matter who they got. They just go out there and win.
You know who they just signed to 40 minutes ago?
No.
Jody Fortson.
Really?
Got him back.
I haven't heard that name in forever.
Since training camp when we cut him.
I was going to say something about Rishi Rice's mom's hands, but I'll let that go.
Oh, man.
I imagine you saw that video?
Yeah.
It's insane, man.
Dude, you can't rob someone with your ID on your back.
Come on.
Hey, for those of you that don't know, she robbed her neighbor wearing the jersey that says Rishi Rice's mom.
It says Mama Rice.
Mama Rice.
Mama Rice on the jersey. The Nest cam or the Ring doorbell cam
yeah,
caught her kicking a package down the hallway.
What an
idiot.
Then
picking it up.
This Rice, and then you wonder, what kind of guy does a hit and run and drives off? And yeah, it's how you're raised.
It's crazy.
It's how you're raised.
That's the thing. You can't do. Listen, I'm not advocating doing anything, but this isn't the 1800s anymore. Watch an episode of CSI. You can't get away with anything.
You don't get away with crimes anymore. It's not that easy anymore.
It's not even worth trying.
Dude, I was thinking about it. If I was born in the 1910s, I'd have been a bank robber.
Right?
It's so easy to rob a bank.
That's it. You wear a pair of gloves and you can get away with anything.
Everything. No, not anything. Everything.
Everything. Right?
Give me what's in the till. And then you leave. And then they're like, did you know who he was? Yeah, he was a medium height guy and fat.
He was wearing gloves.
you wear that bandana over your face, dude, you're robbing the entire Midwest.
Right?
The fact that not everyone was a bank robber is crazy to me.
It's the Wild West out there.
But you can't do that anymore, Mama Rice.
There's a Ring doorbell cam.
There's dash cams.
There's dash cams. Yeah, man. They're just not good in front of cameras, huh?
That's a fun family.
I did not think about the fact that, that's a lot of cameras.
Dude, if your last name is Rice, you're getting caught on camera doing something wrong, Mr. Ray Rice.
I was just going to say that. But
that's the whole Rice family just screwed over by cameras. They hate the invention of the camera.
They were doing so good with Jerry Rice.
He was leading them. Doing so well.
I don't know where we got off the rails here, but Josh Moser, he is the Channel 7 sports anchor.
True.
He will be here coming up next to talk a little bit about the Dolphins. They made some moves this week. Tyus Bauer, they signed him, linebacker. Tim Boyle, they let him go. These are all the big moves that the Dolphins made this week.
Wow, big moves.
Getting ready for the game on Sunday against the Patriots up at Foxborough. We'll talk to Moser next here on Football Fridays. We are back here on Football Fridays. I'm with Althoff, that's Luis Diaz. Coming up a little later, we're going to talk the octopi. I already had an octopus blow up on me last night. That's why I don't like doing these things on Thursday night. I like to wait till Sunday, so we'll see what happens. We'll talk about that coming up.
I like to put all my eggs on the Sunday games.
Yeah, right.
I don't even like Monday games because if somehow, which it hasn't happened yet, I hit all my Sunday legs, I feel like I'd cash out.
Yeah, you got to take the cash out. As soon as you see it, I don't want to wait 24 hours to see if I win.
To lose everything.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Josh Moser is the Channel 7 sports anchor. He knows what's going on at Dolphins camp, and that's why we brought him in to talk a little bit about this game that's happening this weekend at Foxborough. Josh, thanks for joining us this afternoon. We saw that Tim Boyle got released today. You got any insight as to what's going on there at Dolphins camp?
Just more that Snoop Huntley beat him out and that Skylar Thompson is getting healthier.
Okay.
So there's really no need to carry Tim. Tim's been great. My relationship goes back to him when he first came into the league with the Green Bay Packers, but just obviously not a great fit for this offense. And Snoop beat him out. It's as simple as that.
Well, I mean, I don't think we found a great fit for this offense since Tua went down. So
That's true.
I'll take what I can get.
have you been at camp this week? How do you think Tyler is sort of acclimating to this offense now that he's getting in a second week starting?
I mean, the rhetoric is really hard. The play calls are very, very long. Obviously, the more time, the more reps, it's going to be easier. But the issue is that this offense was catered to Tua, and now it's on Mike McDaniel to cater it more towards Snoop. There were some okay things in that terrible loss, but he needs to be more consistent. And I think Mike McDaniel's realizing that he can't just insert him and do it as if he were to do it with Tua or to do it with Skylar. You've got your system, but you have to tinker it towards Snoop and his abilities. And that's really what worked for him so well when he was in Baltimore. So he was Lamar Jackson-esque, but they did things that he really did well, which is his ability for that short intermediate timing throw, which is kind of what this outside zone offense is. And then the ability for Snoop to use his legs. So it's on Mike McDaniel scheming up the defense a little bit better for Snoop, and then Snoop feeling more comfortable with those play calls. And then you hope with the two worst offenses in the league and the Patriots and the Dolphins, you hope that Miami can take a little bit of that step, because if you lose this one, it's I don't know how much more low you can go.
Well, that's the thing, is if we keep losing these games and Cam Ward is just sitting right there in the draft, and Tua, we get to the Cardinals week, and Tua's, we haven't won. You got Cam Ward. Do we even bring Tua back? That's a conversation Will and I were having. Where would you stand on that?
Well, first he has to pass the concussion protocol. So from everything that we've seen,
brother went to Disney on Ice, man. Like, he went to Disney on Ice.
I mean, he flew to Seattle right after that flight. I mean, that was a long flight.
Right.
They have serious concussions issues, So from everything that we've heard and what I've seen Tua, they've kept him away from us, is that they fully believe that he can be back. So from a medical perspective, I do not know what the doctors have told him. But yes, I agree. If you're 1-6, what is the point in bringing Tua back? Especially for him, all of his money's already guaranteed for this year. Mm-hmm. Tua would just be going to subject himself to potentially get hurt, and you would want him at 100%. But it's also, you have other pieces on this team. I mean, you theoretically had a contender on paper, right, this year, and then to lay an egg like this and realize that, oh man, we have more problems than just a quarterback on this offense. I'm curious to see really what Chris Grier wants to do, because if Chris Grier feels like he's in danger of losing his job, he's going to make certain moves. If he knows that he's going to stay, he'll trade away pieces to build for next year. So that's a layer and a wrinkle that we have to think about as well. But for me, if it's Tua and he is cleared by the NFL, all he does is play football. I expect him to come back at some point in time. You hope that it would be against the Cardinals, but I think all of us would be crazy to think that you throw Tua back into this lineup in week 8, and then all of a sudden they win 7 in a row and they're back in the playoff picture.
Well, you bring up a good question, a good point, that Chris Grier understands the writing's on the wall. I think Mike McDaniel, as smart as he is, should see that the writing's on the wall for him. If you're Stephen Ross, put on your Stephen Ross hat, and you got to make a decision on one or both of these guys, or not make a move. What are you doing in this situation? I think something's got to be done with at least one of them.
Oh, 100%. So if I'm Ross, Mike McDaniel's tied to Tua. So I think that Mike McDaniel is the perfect coach for Tua, and I think Tua and Mike work very, very well together. So if you know 100% that Tua can be back and you fully believe that he is good enough to get this team, then you're going to keep him and you're going to look at Chris Grier. But Chris, man, he's been there for, 20 years
of mediocrity,
in some capacity. And he's just been able to survive. And, realistically, if you look at all of the players recently that he just re-upped, aging out players. So you paid Raheem, rightfully so. He had a great season last year, most single-season touchdowns in franchise history, but he's been in one game. You've re-upped Tyreek, which he hasn't been able to do. You just paid a boatload to Jalen Waddle. You paid a boatload to Bradley Chubb, who's been hurt, who's on the PUP list. So you just gave $24 million a season to Jalen Ramsey. So, we need that young upper echelon kind of coming up, because, this is really where your picks are supposed to be hitting. And unfortunately, Jalen Phillips just can't stay healthy either. So for me, it would be to move away from Chris Grier, but without knowing what Tua's going on here, to me, I think a coordinator would take the fall if they somehow lose to Indy and they somehow lose to the Patriots before Tua comes back, you're sitting at 1-5. Somebody's got to go. But if Tua comes back and they're still not doing it, then I think it's definitely Chris Greer. But again, if you're Chris Greer and you're feeling like, hey, I'm going to stay here, I might as well trade away these players. I might as well rebuild for next year. But if he's feeling like, oh, shoot, I'm going to lose my job, he's going to do everything he can to win more games to try to keep his job. So two layers to look at it, and either way is just pain for the fan base.
Yeah.
Josh Moser is the sports anchor over at Channel 7, joining us this afternoon on Football Fridays. It's got to be interesting inside the locker room, considering now there are trade rumors surrounding Tyreek Hill, who was the number one voted player in the NFL by his peers, I think, ahead of the season. Nobody would have thought that this would even be a discussion, but there are odds out there about where he might land. What do you? What's the feeling in the locker room? Are players talking about this? Do they think there's anything to this, or is this just rumors swirling because the team has been not performing well, and that's what happens when teams aren't really doing well?
Yeah, I mean, Tyreek Hill is 100%. He calls himself the instigator. I host a show with his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, and I can tell you that, all of this is very fictitious. I will tell you that Chris Greer will say, look, every scenario is a possibility, but you're not looking to move Tyreek Hill at this point and blowing up this team right now until you really know what's going on with Tua. So that's Tyreek more, being himself, and it's kind of the same with Devontae Adams. We'll see what happens with him in Las Vegas. But, he would definitely need to move before Tyreek would. But, yeah, not much behind that rumor that we'll call it.
So they go into this game in New England. I think if you looked ahead of the season, you probably circle it as a dub.
Easily.
This week, though, you go in there, and I think the team is going to have – I think they're just struggling to find their way at this point. What are the players saying about how they're going to get back on track? I know they keep saying the right things. I keep seeing the interviews. Everybody says, we just got to correct a couple of mistakes and this and that. But the morale has to just be really hurting in a sense that they just cannot figure this out.
Yeah, tell us McDaniels lost the locker room. Tell us that. Tell us.
The problem is that he wouldn't give us that answer. Like you guys said, they're saying all the right things, but there's a big difference when it doesn't translate to the field on Sundays. Mm-hmm. And I think with Phillips going down this week, that's another big hit. I don't know if Tehran's going to be able to play this weekend. This team just feels lost. Mm-hmm. And practice at this point in the season, just being honest with you, it doesn't really translate. Like, you don't have to have a great practice to play well on Sundays. You've been doing this long enough. You've been in this offense for 3 years. But if you look statistically, this is the number one ranked third down defense in the league. And they're doing some okay things on defense. It's just the offense just can't do anything. They just have to figure out how to play complementary football, as cliche as that sounds. The offense has to give you something. You've got Pro Bowlers all over the field. Why isn't it? Why do blocks keep getting missed? Why is the timing off? And I think a lot of that has to do with Snoop. And I hope that week 2 you get a little bit more continuity. But Tyreek's dropping passes that we never see him drop. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if the focus isn't there. They're certainly keeping that, tight, I guess you could say. But it's almost like, this was the first year that I think expectations were really high. You come off that loss to the Kansas City Chiefs, you realize, oh, shoot, we actually played well against the Titans on that Monday Night Football game last year, before the season got derailed, and they would have had a home game. And so it's like, all right, well, one step away, you put in all the work this offseason, you re-sign all these guys, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's supposed to be your year. And now all of a sudden you're grasping at straws, figuring out, how you even did what you did last year. Like, how do we even do this?
And it's interesting. The defense has made plays. They've given the team opportunities. I look back. I just always go back to that play. Cater Kohu put them on the 6-yard line, and they kicked a field goal after moving 2 yards on that series. Good. Like, the team last year, if you look at that team last year, 95% of the time they score on the first play of that drive from the 6-yard line. But this year it's just like, man, they can't put anything together.
No, and I think a lot of that's the offensive line. And, we've addressed it in the media saying, like, you need some horses here. And, players keep getting hurt. And I understand this offense is built so that it gets out of the hand of the quarterback in less than 2 seconds. So they feel like they could spend their money in other places than the offensive line because they don't need them to block as long. But, I mean, if you want to flip that Kader Kohu play, I mean, this team is one Javon Holland amazing punch away from being 0-4.
Mm-hmm.
And the only team that they've beaten are the Jaguars, who have still yet to win a game. They're the only winless team in the league. So, it's just, is Mike McDaniel overthinking? I believe he is. You look at him and his facial expressions, he looks lost. And, I mean, this was supposed to be what he was great at, this offensive guru. And, I mean, shoot, you look at Sean McVay a couple weeks ago. His team was down 2 receivers against San Francisco, and they make an amazing comeback. You go up to Matt LaFleur, another person off his coaching tree, and, they're winning games with their backup quarterback. Shoot, you look at Joe Flacco and what he did last week. I mean, you're seeing it done, but there's something not clicking from the coaching to the players, and this team's better figure it, because if they can't figure it out against the Patriots, I don't know if they're going to be able to figure it out against anybody.
That's my thing, man. I'm looking at him run a toss to the left, and the 3 skill players that he's using as blockers on that trips formation are small, are Devon Achane, who he puts him up against the linebacker, and then 2 small receivers. And it's like, I understand you're trying to be smart, and and you don't want to tip your hand and put tight ends out there. If we put the tight ends out there, we're going to run. It's like that Grant Dubose interception in the Bills game. Oh, we take out Tyreek and Waddle, so they think we're going to run, and then we throw. But then you have guys that don't know this offense, don't have timing with Tua, being the ones responsible on 3rd down, and it hits you in the shoulder, and you give up a play. That's my problem with him, is I think he's too smart for his own. He's trying to outsmart himself. He's Mr. Coach Kleining it. And that's where I'm looking at Ben Johnson up in Detroit. He's having Amon-Ra throw touchdowns. They don't need anything fancy. They're taking on that mentality of Dan Campbell. I'm going to bite your kneecaps off. I'm going to beat you.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what we're running, and we're going to run it. And that's why in my head, next year when we've got Ben Johnson as our head coach and Cam Ward telling the defense we're running in this gap right here, tell me that's a possibility.
I mean, as of right now, they've got, if the season were to end, they like the Alabama quarterback as ranked higher. But, I mean, that's so premature. I know people love it.
I know.
We played 4 games so far. It's like, we can't get into that already.
You will, and Josh, you guys are professionals. I'm just the voice of the fans. Let me talk about the draft. You guys can keep me sane, but nah, man, I'm looking at the draft, baby. Cam Ward.
I mean, I hope that Cam Ward continues to cook. I mean, he's so much fun to watch. But, I mean, crazy. You go back to last week, a ticket was more expensive to go to the Canes-Virginia Tech game on Friday night than it was the Monday night game against the Titans. Like, that should never,
wow,
ever
that's
happen.
wild.
Yeah. And, I mean, everything hinges on Tua. Like, I mean, look, you paid him $200 million. You're heavily invested in him. But I don't know what happens on that next hit. Like, I remember I was at Cincinnati when he got hurt. And then the first game that he came back was a Sunday night game against Pittsburgh. And everyone's on pins and needles, like anytime anybody gets close to him, because you don't know what's going to happen. And
Flores had a bounty for him that game too, because he was with the Steelers.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, $100,000 that Stephen Ross gave me for every loss, for every sack on Tua.
Yeah. I mean, I can't speak to that, but I mean, that's the mentality. But you have to get an answer at quarterback. And, Snoop Huntley, you hope that he can just play better than he did this last game, and that Mike McDaniel can find his groove. And I think, look, you've gone through 4 quarterbacks in 4 games. Here's an opportunity to actually have somebody start a second game in a row. And I think decisions will be made depending upon what happens on Sunday, because if they could either bounce back or they could lay another egg. But, yeah, to me, I'd say a head has to roll if they lose the Patriots. And if they lose badly to the Patriots, I mean, I would expect it to be, I hate to say it, it's somebody like a Frank Smith, somebody like that.
Danny Crossman. It's going to be Danny Crossman. With all those Duke Riley penalties, it's going to be him.
Got his special teams. He's been untouchable. We always say every year, like, get rid of Danny Crossman. Like, what's going on here?
That's true.
But, realistically, with this new special teams, these rules, he's really the only one that knows that situation.
He clearly doesn't know the onside punt rule, so he doesn't know all the rules.
No, but, I mean, you're talking bringing somebody in blind. So I don't know if switching the special teams is going to make that much of an impact. But, I mean, it's just crazy to me. You look at the players up and down this roster and why these playmakers can't get the ball and why Mike McDaniel isn't putting them in a spot from a play calling perspective to be successful. And, I mean, that's just the big question of, like, what the hell? I mean, you know, but, again, if Tua's coming back, I think Ross waits until Tua comes back and they try to get their thing going again. And then it's just a question of, can they win a couple games? And I think that'll determine what happens with Chris, et cetera. But I think one thing is for certain, going back to Cam Ward, a backup quarterback is no longer a luxury. To me, They cut Mike White because they simply could not afford him. It was a luxury this team could not afford. But we are seeing too many teams now, especially when you know that your quarterback has a history of being injured. You know, that is a very valuable position, and you have to allocate more money in the salary cap to make sure that you have a legitimate backup, because that's what's the Achilles heel right now for this team, because you should be good enough without Tua to win games with this roster. And you're 1-3. I mean, and against dog teams, and 3 of the 4 games were at home. I mean, I don't know if you've looked at the schedule, like, after Thanksgiving.
Oh,
it gets easier, right?
The last 6 weeks of the season are terrible. Yes. These were the easy games. Yeah.
And you're putting yourself way behind the 8 ball. I know that you play the Jets twice late in the season, but, you know, you don't know what they're going to be. And I hate betting against Aaron Rodgers. You just never know with that man. But yeah, it's not looking good. We were saying, 10 wins coming into the season, and man, as it looks right now, we'd be lucky to get 6.
I think the thing was last season, Tua didn't get injured. Everybody got comfortable. Everybody forgot about the year before. And then as soon as it happened in game 2, everybody was like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the concussion thing. Right. So.
Yeah. I mean, we thought from a business perspective that they would Lamar Jackson him and make him play out this year.
That's what I figured too. Yeah.
That was the business play. And, looking at the contract and how it's structured, the team did buy insurance in case Tua got hurt. Nice. So they can get back $39 of the $43 million if they apply for it. I can tell you that Tua does not have individual insurance for this season because all of his money is guaranteed. That could change next year. You could take out a policy, something like that Justin Jefferson did this year. But yeah, I mean, you have to have a good quarterback in order to win in this league. And, I mean, here you are. Steve Huntley was on a practice squad for a reason. I hate to say it. And I'll be honest, he was a Pro Bowler because other people said no. And he just kind of was the de facto guy. Not taking anything away from him, but,
he had an insanity run in the year that nobody was going to make it to the Pro Bowl. It was a perfect storm. Yeah, and as long as we don't have United insurance, then we're good. And we'll get paid and everything will be good.
Yeah, but it's question mark time. I mean, if this team lays an egg against the Patriots, I don't know what the fan base is going to do. I mean, maybe you just got to start going all in on the Canes. But yeah, it would not be a good look. And I think Indianapolis is a very winnable game on the road too. They're a mess right now, and their quarterback Anthony Richardson's still hurt. So yeah, 2 winnable games. I mean, shoot, you win both these games, you're 3-3. You're right back in the mix in the AFC because. I mean, if you kind of look at it, you've got the Bills, you've got the Chiefs, and I know the Ravens had a slow start, but those 3 teams are far and above. And then maybe I'm putting Houston number 4. So everything's pretty wide open in the AFC if you can figure this thing out. But you got to just help yourselves and not beat yourselves because this Patriots team is just bad.
Yeah.
The defense should get you a couple turnovers. You should be able to turn them into something other than a field goal. And then if we have this conversation next week, we're like, try to get some hope, or we've completely fallen off, sell everything, and already look forward to next season.
Yeah, I mean, that was the hope last week after all 3 division rivals lost. It was like, they win a game here, they're right back in it. And they really stumbled on Monday night. So Josh Moser is the anchor over at Channel 7. He hosts 7 Sports Extra as well on Sunday nights. You can follow him, the Mose Knows, on Instagram. We appreciate you joining us, Josh. Enjoy the game on Sunday.
Of course, guys. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate you.
Thank you, brother.
Man, right? Like, you just hope that they can get it together a little bit, but it's just they've got so many variables and so many just little things that are breaking down.
The problem is they have too much pride at the top of the food chain. Not the top, Stephen Ross, 2 rungs down. McDaniel has too much pride to change what he's doing, and nothing's gonna change. And we're gonna see it on Sunday. Who cares? I don't care.
Back on the other side, we're gonna talk octopi. It's our gambling segment here on Football Fridays. Just roll
yeah. It's probably better than any of our bets.
Right? Oh man. So this is the segment where we talk about wagering, and I like to do the octopus. Somehow I roped Lewis into doing this as well.
I'm addicted now. I can only make 8-part bets.
8-leg parlays are where it's at. And I usually don't make them on Thursday nights because I hate for them to end on a Thursday when I've got like 7 legs coming up over the weekend.
Yeah.
But last night I was like, well, I got to get something in. So I did, and it's already over. I had a Falcons win and a Bijan Robinson touchdown. So that didn't work out. But the rest of the way, I took the rest of that parlay and I added it to this one. I've got Jacoby Brissett under 0.5 TDs. I got him passing 0 touchdowns.
Okay.
0 touchdowns in that one. Jaden Daniels on the other side, I've got him going over 1.5 touchdowns. I've also got the Seahawks winning. I've got that's Seahawks over the Giants. They're hosting that game. I've got the Vikings winning over the Jets.
Okay.
I've got the Chiefs winning at home against the Saints. The Commanders, I think I added that as a win. That was the one leg that I replaced, was a Commanders win at home over the Browns. And the other one was a Tyreek Hill anytime touchdown.
I got that one as well.
Yeah, I think he's due, especially after everything that's gone on this week. It's just like how he got detained and wanted to do the handcuff celebration.
Yeah.
He's dying to get a touchdown this week after everything that happened.
Has to.
Right?
Has to. I do think he actually has to get a touchdown. Like at this
he
point.
Better. They need it.
Yeah, we need something.
Please.
We need something. I think he's going to demand a trade if he doesn't get in the end zone this week.
You think?
He's got that kind of diva mentality.
Wow, I never thought about that, but I wonder.
He might.
I wonder if like Pat's calling him and going, "Hey, how you going to get out of Miami?
Hey, they're not throwing you the ball, huh? I would love to throw you the ball.
You were my favorite receiver when you were here. I love you.
I don't know how we kept that big white guy, but he's a distraction with his mustache and Taylor Swift. I wish I could have thrown the ball to you, man.
Cheetah, right? Cheetah? Is this the cheetah I got on the line, right?
Oh, my God. If it is, I'm lucky. I'm lucky to be talking to you.
They're saying the Commanders, though, could be a landing spot.
For Tyreek?
Yeah.
Oh, him and Scary Terry. That's crazy.
Right? Because they're saying, I guess, because Jaden Daniels is on the rookie contract.
Oh, they got the money.
They got room, yeah.
They got the money. All right, so here's my octopus.
Okay.
So my thing is I'm always scared to go over-under on anything. So it's usually only anytime touchdowns.
Yeah, over-unders are, they're definitely shaky.
Scary. So I go with the anytime touchdown. And so this one I got a Panthers win and a Chuba Hubbard anytime touchdown. The rest are anytime touchdowns. Garrett Wilson, Jamar Chase. Took Mike Gesicki off this bad boy.
Finally.
I am tired of – and you know what's going to happen? He's getting 3 touchdowns this week.
He's going to star this week.
To make up for all the other weeks
man.
I picked him. Jamar Chase, anytime touchdown. Terry McLaurin, Tyreek Hill, just like you.
Yeah.
George Kittle and CeeDee on Sunday night.
I could see all those.
That's
sure.
the thing. That's why I put him there. I was
course.
like, I could see this all happening.
Scary Terry. How about those Commanders?
Man,
they just put up points.
And the weird thing about all these are none of them are like big underdogs. The most unlikely of these happening is Tyreek Hill getting in the end zone.
Probably Tyreek.
All these are like 150, 100 right on it. Like,
yeah.
I'll take these odds. And, bet $1, get 1,000 back.
That's it, man. This one, not such high stakes on that one. This one is plus about 12,000. So it's bet $1, win about $1.30.
Nice.
Got the 10% profit boost applied to that.
Look at that.
I really need to win something. Me and the Dolphins, we both need a dub this week.
That'll be nice. That'll be nice.
We'll see what happens.
I need one of these bad boys.
See, and that's the thing. At least I'm like betting $5 or $1 a game. I'm like, this is just fun. It's like if I went to the arcade and I threw $1 in a pinball machine.
Yeah.
It's gone in 2 seconds. At least I got a little bit of time.
So that's my problem. Is at first I was betting like 5 at a time, and these octopi were not hidden.
No.
And so it's like now I'm doing one,
right,
50 cents if I can.
Right, and you're doing it like the most extreme odds because you're, $1, I can win $600,000 off of this.
Correct.
I've got Tyler Huntley getting 19 touchdowns on the ground this week.
Look at that. I know it's not likely, but it's good happen.
Probably not going to happen, but potentially will.
4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns like Al Bundy. You never know. Pulling Al Bundy. We got our last segment coming up on the other side. We're going to talk to Walter Mercadolphins.
That was beautiful.
Mercadolphins.
That was perfect.
A little better?
That was the first one was better than the second one, but both were still good. Both were good.
Coming up on the other side here on Football Fridays. What is this? From Superfly? Is this Freddy's Dead?
This is If There's a Hell Below, We're All Gonna Go.
I like it. I used to love this music. I still love this kind of music. I used to just listen to it a lot more when I was younger. Sly and the Family Stone, Parliament Funkadelic. I used to listen to all that stuff.
Yeah, no, you're speaking Chinese to me, brother.
It's way before your time. I forget how young you are.
I'm 30.
That's young, man. I just turned 45.
Tell that to my body.
That's Luis Diaz. I'm Will Althoff. And as always, this time, Fridays, we're joined by the legend. I can feel it. Luis!
Si, senor.
I feel it!
Has Walter come inside you? Pause, I heard it.
Can't say that.
Chill.
No, you know what I mean. Have you become Walter?
Not yet, I haven't.
I heard it, though. I ruined it when I said it.
It was
the
good.
way I said it.
I know. I'm very.
We don't make we don't do bold predictions here. We tell the future because we channel Walter Mercadolphins.
There it is.
That's what we do.
I can feel it. Do you feel it?
Brother, I feel it.
You feel it. What do you feel, man?
What do I feel?
Yeah, what do you feel?
We saw yesterday just a taste.
Yeah.
And last night just a taste.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, 500 yards. Everybody saying, this is a running league again. Nobody throwing for 300 yards. Wow, what is crazy? Tomorrow is Saturday. The day after is Sunday. I'm talking about Sunday.
Domingo.
Maybe Monday. In addition to Kirk, 2 quarterbacks throwing for more than 400 yards.
Ooh. Do you have names?
No. I will chat. I can make up a name. It's not Tyler. And it's not Jacoby. It's neither of them. But I do feel the resurgence of the quarterback. So I just know that there's going to be 2 quarterbacks with more than 400 yards.
I feel.
What are you feeling?
I feel.
What is it?
I feel.
Tell me what you feel.
Maybe it's this quarterback.
It's Skyler?
No. I feel revenge game this week. Excuse me, revenge week.
Revenge week.
It is a revenge week.
Wait, now I have to look at the schedule.
It is a revenge week for Sam Darnold.
That's
Darnold.
That's right.
Revenge week against the Jets. He's going to crush those. He's going to crush them. Aaron Rodgers, I don't care. He used to take out the Vikings. That was when he was in Green Bay. Now the Jets.
It's different green colors.
Correct.
Different
The helmet,
green.
different.
Not cheese.
Sam Darnold. Revenge game this weekend. He takes down the Jets.
That's a good idea.
It's in London, neutral spot. Nobody knows.
It's at 9:30.
Yeah.
It's too early.
Right. Everybody's internal clock. It's all screwed up.
I like this. Yeah. Sam Darnold. That's a good pick. Do you know what am I feeling?
What you feeling?
Let's talk about home. My name is Walter Mercadolphins.
Mm-hmm.
I am at home. This is Miami Dolphins.
Yes.
Radio. I said it. I said it earlier in the show, but now Walter is going to say it. This game is going to be decided by 3 scores.
3 scores?
2 very bad teams. 2 very bad teams.
One will be very bad.
Do you think that, it's going to be 6-3? Very bad games. With 18 missed field goals too, because everybody bad. No, this game, someone is going to run away with it. And I unfortunately believe it's going to be the Patriots. But that's not part of it. I just think whoever wins, this is going to be a blowout. One team is going to blow out the other one. And if I'm Walter Mercado, I know all about blowing. Walter Mercadolphins.
I feel something too.
Ooh, how does it you feel?
We talk about wide receivers.
Sí, señor.
Wide receivers getting traded.
Sí,
We
Walter.
hear about maybe the Chiefs picking up wide receivers. Maybe Commanders all day. We talk about wide receivers. I think Devontae Adams. He's getting himself out of Vegas. I think he's gonna. I think he's done there.
Do you
I
think
think they don't want him here. I think it's over. I think
by the time we speak again,
yeah,
in radio by next Friday,
right?
Because we text.
Yes. No. I think he's gone.
You think he's gone by next Friday, or you
so.
think he's gone by this Sunday?
No, I don't think he's gone by this Sunday. Well,
it's too soon for this week.
Yeah, I think too soon for this week, but I think he's getting himself out
on Tuesday, on the Universal NFL day off. On Tuesday, he's gone.
There it is.
Okay,
I believe that.
I see that.
Like, what are they keeping him around for? He doesn't want to be there. They're not doing great. They're 2-2 right now.
You want to know a prediction that Lewis had, very similar to that?
Yeah.
I was too scared to bring it with Walter.
Okay.
Someone gets fired from the Miami Dolphins organization this weekend.
Ooh, this weekend?
By Tuesday.
By Tuesday, right.
By Tuesday, someone is fired. And I'm not talking about Tim Boyle released.
Right.
A decision maker.
Yeah.
Gets fired this weekend, by Tuesday.
I think that...
I hope not. That means everything went well.
Right. If they struggle on Sunday and they're 1-4 after this week and they're going into their bye week.
Someone. This is about the time we fired Joe Philbin.
Oof. Could you imagine going into the season? There was so much hope, so much belief, so much thought.
And I'm not saying I want it to be Adam Gase, McDaniel. Sorry, they're both the same person. Fake offensive geniuses. But I think someone's gone by Tuesday. If we lose this weekend, someone's gone on Tuesday. Maybe Monday.
You just hope that they can figure out a way to pull this game out in New England this week and get the off week, maybe get themselves back on track and figure out what they're going to do going forward. Obviously, Tua will be back in a few weeks, so we'll see. They need the win this weekend for sure. Lewis, as always, great stuff this week.
Hey, man.
I think we crushed it again.
I'll text you all my tears.
I'm ready for my first leg of my parlay to fall apart, the octopi to fall apart.
Let's go, baby.
Very quick.
Let's go.
Luis Diaz, Will Althoff. We hope you join us next week here for Football Fridays.